All right. Mine's closed by.
I don't have one. There's two.
All right, there we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. We're gonna call this meeting to order. It is 9:08. Yes, 9:08. My name is Jeff Benson. I will be presiding over your meeting today. We want to thank all of you guys for being here, including our guests. Thank you for being with us. We have some great information to learn and share today, and hopefully you enjoy what you see. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. And I'll need a motion.
I move that we approve the agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. You may be seated. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes of July 1st board meeting. I'll need a motion.
I move to approve the minutes of the July 1st meeting as presented. A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Ms. Karen, do we have any public participation?
We cannot.
All right, so we'll move right into our reports and presentations. Dr. Dick?
All right, so a little bit different today, since this is a public meeting and yet also your school board retreat. In the other folder in front of you is the agenda for the retreat portion. We have a couple things that we're gonna do today. A presentation by Ms. Hopkins regarding understanding anxiety signs. We'll do a reflection and analysis of the board self-evaluation. That will be facilitated by myself and Mr. Cameron. Then a brief presentation by Ms. Hastings about the expansion of autism program supports. And then finally, we're going to do a crosswalk between the district goals and priorities and the state strategic plan to look at that alignment. And then also discuss a superintendent evaluation tool for your review. Finally, we'll go back into executive session to handle personnel items. And once we adjourn, we will have lunch. And everybody is welcome to stay for lunch as well. Okay. So, Mrs. Hopkins, let me turn it over to you. Do you, school board members, do you want to move to the middle at this point? Do you want to stay here? It's up to you.
Probably easier for us to stay here though.
Okay, we can move to the middle for the conversation.
Yeah. So, all right, so thank you everybody, for, having me. And I think most people know that when we do go to like our National School Board Association, I typically will go to things that are aligned with mental health. So typically when I do a presentation or when I'm teaching in a class, I'll stand up, but the setup, this really allows for us to look out to the audience and see each other. And I do appreciate the 3 big screens. This is better than just a regular classroom. So the thing I want to go over was understanding, I put pediatric anxiety, but it honestly, anxiety is anxiety. One of the things that, in prior to previous board meetings, I do have my second now, but I also have 22 years of experience working with substance use disorders, mental health, subacute care, all the different things. But I want to take a focus in anxiety because I do work in a school who I work in has almost 2,500 students in there. And anxiety is a big thing. So, Cameron, you my controller?
Yes.
I was doing my clicker, but I said, I don't remember where it is from my teaching days. So the goal that I have for you guys is to recognize common signs of anxiety in children and teens, Understand when anxiety is normal versus when it needs support. Learn practical ways adults can help, and when thinking about adults, I'm talking about adults mainly like in the school setting, because students do spend a lot of time there. And know when to seek professional, help. All right, so this is interactive. So what is anxiety to you guys? You can just throw out whatever you believe it to be.
Stress before a big meeting or test.
Okay, stress before a big meeting or a test,
Just worry.
worrying. Friends in the community,
Sometimes hopelessness.
okay, hopelessness. It's your body's response to stress. Friends against the wall, y'all have anything you wanna add?
My anxiety takes out when we gotta play Pittsburgh.
So one thing I always like to say is this, there's such a stigma around mental health as a whole. And the idea is that we need to break the stigma so that people feel more comfortable talking about it and recognizing that the brain is an organ just like anything else. And that we need to start considering it that way. Something I always tell people is it's great how we're empathetic for people that may have dementia, we're empathetic for people that may have Parkinson's, which are also neurocognitive disorders. But when it comes to someone that's bipolar or someone that's schizophrenic, all of a sudden it's like, well, we can't, they're problematic. But why is that? So so pretty much everyone has mental health until it isn't well, okay? And everyone has anxiety. We all have anxiety. The only time it becomes diagnosed as a disorder is when it is interrupting our normal function of our day. All right, so let's go ahead and understand we all have anxiety. All right. So we'll go to the next one. So as Dr. Savage has just said, is that it's our body's response. If it starts to snow, am I going to get sweaty palms? Yeah, I am. You know, like Dr. Vincent said, if I'm about to get ready for a test, do I get butterflies? If I have to give a presentation, I absolutely do. And the thing is, some anxiety is healthy and is very protective. Your anxiety will peak and let you know, hey, all right, it's late at night, there's no lights on the street, you get a little anxious, guess what? That piques your interest to be more observant of your surroundings. So anxiety can be helpful when it does not disrupt your day-to-day. And then it becomes a concern when it's frequent. When you're shaking, you can't move, you're frozen, you're avoiding things. That's an interruption in your normal day-to-day. All right. So this is very common in our youth. I will also tell you it's very common in adults as well. I will tell you in the school system, a good third of the students that come down to the nurse or sit down to the nurse is related to anxiety. Okay. You have, oh, the student can't breathe. No, the student can definitely breathe. The student does not have asthma. There's no respiratory concern. They're not having one in the cardiac arrest. They're having anxiety. But what we're seeing is, as soon as this child starts to have sweaty palms, or they're sweating profusely, or their breathing accelerates, or their pulse accelerates, the first thing is, oh, you need to go to the nurse, or you need to go here. When we can try to decompress that student, try to get them to relax. Unfortunately, we're seeing this a lot. According to Cleveland Clinic magazine back in 24, it said 30% of teens suffer from anxiety disorder. So these are kids that are already diagnosed. Okay, you will be amazed, or you might not be amazed. There are a lot of kids that you'll see that are on your buspirone, your long-acting anxiety meds, your propranolol, your which is actually used for the heart, but a side effect is to slow the heart down, right? You'll see kids on hydroxyzine. It's an antihistamine similar to Benadryl. It helps them calm down. For some of us, it will put us to sleep. But for them, it calms them down and it doesn't put them to sleep. And also another disorder that we see a lot of is depression. A good 20% of teens have that. I will also tell you that we are seeing anxiety more often in girls than in boys. And I think sometimes when we think about girls trying to be perfectionists and different things like that, that also can be detrimental. Perfectionism is diagnosable. That is can interrupt your day-to-day. It's taking a lot of your time trying to second guess yourself and doing it right. Freezing, not turning in assignments, all those things. So it can affect your sleep. If you're constantly, as Dr. D said, worrying, that is general anxiety disorder. You are up thinking about things that are just not even important. you might be thinking, well, where is my birth certificate? Oh, in 7 years from now, will we have dairy products? Like, why are we talking about that right now, that we're not getting any sleep? You can have kids at school, being around a lot of people. You do have some kids that have isolated a lot, or you have kids that's been homeschooled and now they're being transitioned into, public school. That's very scary. Or when you come from a small middle school and now you're in a high school and a whole bunch of people you just don't even know. It could be sports, it could be things going on in your family. A lot of people forget that when you leave us, a safe space, you go to the other place that you go to, and that's home. And is that home a safe space? What does this child have to deal with at home? Like I was talking about for Savage. Some research I would love to do in the future is about the role conflict of the child at home versus the school setting. Because some kids are the adult at home, where they're taking care of the young ones, they're doing all the house chores. Some kids work and they give their parents some of the money that they make from maybe braiding hair or doing nails. But then we come to school, automatically we want them to be a child. But they're used to doing adult responsibilities. So then we have this role conflict where the adult at school goes back and forth with a child, and you should never go back and forth with you in a superior position with anybody. But as an adult, we have to understand at one of our NCSBN meetings, no, sorry, that's my nursing role. At our NSBA meeting, learning 5 things about your student. If you learn 5 things about your student, then you know what that child is going home to. Right? And as Dr. Savage and many of us like to say, you have to matter before you bloom. And so we get in these conflicts, or we're bumping our heads with these kids that are they're going back and forth with you like the adult that they are at home. So we have to be mindful of that. But sometimes it's the adult and us need to reset and say, you know what, this child's doing some things at home. So family life and their early recognition can improve the outcome. So imagine you're a child, you're going to school and you are having anxiety. And the adult, the teacher that you trust, is shooing you away when you're actually having this issue. Because unfortunately, and in some cultures, if it's not visible, then you're not really sick. Okay. So, some people you may not see that they're anxious, but inside their skin is itching. They really feel like things poking at them. And when the histamines are firing, you're itching behind the ear. People get hives. No, they're not having an allergic reaction. It's subject to their anxiety.
I don't know that.
Yeah, they get high. Look behind someone's ear. When it starts turning red, you start seeing a little red line going here.
So they break out.
Yeah, they break out. I'm telling you. I had a girl, she would break out, and my colleagues who were more like your acute care nurses thought she was having an allergic reaction, would send her out. 911. I said, honey, you have anxiety. Let's talk about this. Let's talk through this. Okay? That's why the hospital can't find anything. Because it's your anxiety. All right. Kim. I was telling Dr. Savage, I said, I can talk about anxiety all day. But I'm gonna try to, keep it straight. So these are some of the ones that you see common. Like if you have students that you're seeing that constantly have headaches. Unfortunately, headaches can be because they have lack of sleep. Headaches can be because they need glasses. Headaches can be because they're hungry. You will be amazed at how many different students can't tell the difference between they need to use a bathroom type of pain, a cramp from the menstruation, or a hunger pain. They don't know the difference. The kids do not know the difference. They could be sweating. They could have stomach aches, trouble sleeping when you're constantly on edge, in that fight or flight. How are you going to sleep when you got to be alert enough to protect yourself? The rapid heartbeat, fatigue, they're even tired throughout the day. Some other ones that I like to point out is people that they vomit. Some kids will vomit when they get anxious. Okay, they'll have diarrhea. Some may have a backache. They may have soreness, even chest pain. A lot of people that have had panic attacks thought they were going to die, literally thought they were going to die. They could not catch their breath. They thought, impending doom, they weren't going to make it. You could have tremors. where the child was shaking. So there are so many different things. You'll be amazed of, and it's all anxiety. You know, you're sending kids out for all these things, and it's definitely just anxiety. Anxiety can paralyze you. All right, we'll go to the next one. So there are different types of anxiety that that we may see. So I'll give you a separation. I'll give you a story. I think stories are best ways for people to put things together. I had a student, ninth grade, who every morning come into the school, she'll start, clamming up, can't get past the front offices. And her mom couldn't leave. Her mom would literally stay there forever. So then she met me. And so it just got to the point, I let mom know it takes longer for her to get herself calmed down so she can get to class if you stick around. Okay. So one day I just had mom, I said, you go sit out in our little waiting area. The daughter thought she could be gone or she could be there. She wasn't quite sure. But after talking with the student, I said, you know what? I don't know if your mom is still here. Well, her mom was still there. I knew that. I don't think your mom is still here. I think she had to go, get to work. But she was calm and she went to class. The next day we had the same issue. Mom was there for long periods of time. I said, Mom, you got your gym clothes on. I said, I think you need to get to the gym, do what you're trying to do. And I told the student, I said, listen, I said, legally, you have to go to school. Like, we have to educate you. You don't want you to stop at 8th grade. And so we have to get through this. Now, I'm gonna say something. This child was never bullied, because I asked all the questions. Child was a bully, nothing going on at home. There's a family history of anxiety. But her anxiety was petrified, like she could not move. So I told her, I said, well, listen, if you can't tuck and roll into the school in the morning, you might have to start having mom put you on the bus. I said, because it's really nice your mom drops you off to school, but if you can't let her get to work, you might have to get on the bus. No, I don't want to ride the bus. So fast forward, after many days of that, I became like a check-in person with her, a trusted adult for her. And she just stopped by and see me. By the end of the school year, we might see each other in the hall, and she's like this, hey girl, hey. Well, hey girl, hey. Give each other a hug. And then it got to the point where she would show a friend how to get to the nurse and how to get back to class. But guess what? She didn't need me in the capacity that she needed me before. And what that, and I know it takes time, but if you just show interest, they trust you, they'll trust what you're telling them, and then they will go for it. Social anxiety, we see that a lot. Some people do have phobias of being around a lot of people. I had a student, literally, his heart was about to pop out of his chest because we have so many students, especially at lunchtime. We're always busy. When always are busy, that's when you might lose some of your students. Where are they at? Are they underneath the stairwell somewhere? Are they hiding in the bathroom? It is very unfortunate that that's where you spend a lot of your time, in the bathroom. But that's a safe space away from all the people, right? Some people may be, have phobias to, snakes, spiders, being in, confined spaces, like the claustrophobia, those things. So, and some people may have phobias, but guess what? We will start introducing you to the things that you have a phobia to. You can't avoid it forever. That is not healthy. The yellow, sorry friends, that actually says panic disorder. All of us can have a panic attack at any moment. Does not mean that you have a panic disorder. Just simply means that at that moment I have a panic attack. You have people that can't go across the Bay Bridge because they have a fear of bridges. Am I in your head today? I'm in your head today because you're just like, oh my God, just get out of my head. And people will pay other people to drive them there because they just can't do it. Or you have people, I used to work at Lawson here in town, and I remember got on the elevator and it went, did a little jerky thing, and it stopped. Why was I in the elevator with a lady with 2 cups of coffee from Dunkin' Donuts and she is claustrophobic? She's looking at me, I'm looking at her. I'm like, oh honey, like we push a little button. Yeah, it's like good. Put the coffee down. All right. Put the coffee down. And then, and so you do, but understand, people that have panic attacks, it kind of seems like they're having like a cardiac event or a heart event. They can't breathe. They may be doubled over. They can't get themselves together. but I assure you, it won't kill them. Within 20 minutes, they should be reset. I typically like to put people in like a darker area, where it's more quiet, because when you're anxious, all your sensories are like exploding. So give them a little quiet area so they can start decompressing, okay? And then you have your obsessive compulsive disorders. You take this lid off this cup, bottle it here, and then Cam comes around and he puts it back on, because that was bothering him. But to be diagnosed with OCD, whatever you're obsessed with has to take a good hour out your day. Whether it's brushing your teeth, pretending you're taking a shower or something like that. It's again a disruption in your day. All right, so all the people that are like, oh, I have OCD because I like to be organized. No, organization is a good thing. So you said what?
I've been there before, I thought I was meant finish line.
You see? That's right. You know what? Last meeting we said we were gonna upgrade your picture.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
We're not gonna do it now. We're not gonna do it. So anxiety can come from things that are normal, like transitioning from high school into adulthood. If you look at statistics, you see that 18 to 24-year-old range struggles with mental health, struggles with substance use disorder, struggle with a lot of things. It is very hard transitioning. Talk to your kids. See how they feel about graduating. People say that, they'll say, I'm excited. But if you really get to know your student, you will know they are scared to death. Okay? Because you have some kids that parents believe that once you're 18, you're grown. You need to figure life out because I did. Okay? Then you have some parents that are like, you don't have to figure out life because the whole point of me is to be a launch pad for you. So you have some that major life changes. Graduation is a big one for people. Where are you going after you get out of high school? Bullying. You will be amazed how many students will tell me, the nurse, about bullying. And my question is always same. How many adults in this building is aware of this besides me? Don't assume that because they feel comfortable with you to tell you that they've told anyone else. Because they may not have.
Usually they don't.
Yeah, so you need to make sure that your school has deans, the deans is aware. If they have a guidance counselor, make sure the counselor is aware. If there's mental health, make sure that they're aware. Make sure someone is aware so we can support this student. Some kids have a lot of pressure on them to do well in school. They're counting on doing well in school so they can get a scholarship, because after graduation, they need to figure out what they're going to do and they don't have the money to go wherever. So they're trying to do well in school to get those scholarships. You have some kids that parents want them to be in the band and they force them to be in that. That is stressful for those kids. They don't want that extracurricular thing. There are some kids that go to church at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning before they even come to school. Okay, so they're already tired before they get to you, but we're expecting for them to be amazing, right? Because that's our expectation. But if we know our student, then we would know their religion and we would know that they're going to church at 6:30 in the morning before they even get to period 1. Okay, you have families, especially in your small town like ours, you have a lot of people that are related, but they may not be talking to each other. So guess what? Stuff that happens at your house does follow you into school, because guess what? We carry you wherever you go, right? A lot of our kids have trauma. Some of you have not ever seen some of the stuff these kids have seen in their young years. Okay, so unless you understand where they're coming from, don't push them away. Don't assume they should be one way, because that's what you would like. You need to meet them where they are. So one thing I always tell my students, I'll meet you where you are and then I will expect more. I tell them I don't expect for you to be like my children because I didn't raise you. So any test that I have in my mind for my sons, you may not be able to pass because I did not prepare you for it. But I will meet you where you are, but I won't leave you there. I will expect more from you. You'll be amazed how many kids that have a probation officer that start doing well just because you cared enough to invest some time into them, right? And guess what? It's free. It's free. Showing you care is such a free thing. And then, of course, social media. A lot of fights that you're going to see in school happen because of something that happened over the weekend. And they all know they're going to be in school together. So that's where they square up. All right, let's get to the next one.
This is Rose about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. You were, bless your heart. All right, so how can we help? Listen without judgment. So one of the things we always tell, especially I would teach in nursing school, is know your own biases. We all have them. We'll be lying if we didn't, right? Because we all have our own values. We always have certain beliefs. But these kids are coming from a place that we're not even familiar with. So just listen. If you don't have a poker face, try, practice, whatever. Validate how they feel. Okay? But we're not going to say, oh, yeah, that can be scary. Okay, they're already scared. You just reaffirmed that they should be scared. But how do we help them get past that hump? Try to keep some good routine. Gigi can definitely tell you, and Dr. D too. When you're dealing with some special populations, a schedule, a routine really helps, especially with your ADHD people, your autism people, really helps because it lessens the anxiety. They know what to expect. They know where they're going. If you're constantly on edge as an adult, just saying, kids do learn a lot through observation. So if you don't even know how to regulate yourself, how do you expect for them to know how to regulate themselves? And then we're not going to avoid, we need to expose. So even if you're a person that you have anxiety about being in school, it may not be about the subject matter, it could be about all the kids, it could be about numerous things. Them going home, you call the parents or the parents make them up all the time, is not the answer. Because how are they going to graduate? How are they going to earn those credits? What are they going to do when after they graduate? Life still happens, right? So, don't just send them home. I always love to let a parent know what's going on, but I also let them know I don't need you to pick them up. And guess what? The parent is very thankful because they really don't want to pick them up. They're only coming because they feel the school is calling them and that's what they're expecting. All right. So these are some good coping skills. These are for adults as well. If you're not a person that meditates, hey, it is very relaxing. And sometimes you fall asleep. Okay, I do. Like the instance, I have a fan blowing, just listen to the sounds of the fan. I have a really good one that makes like white sounds, different noises to help me relax. I even sleep with green noise on, so I listen to a thunderstorm every night. That works for me. I just put it on a loop, so it just keeps playing. So raindrops and thunderstorms every night. Practice deep breathing. I'll tell child, adult, breathe in through your nose and then blow out through your mouth. Just breathe in and then let it out. You gotta get them re-centered because they are everywhere. Everywhere. I would say focus. Just focus on me. Breathe in, okay? Children are supposed to get a good 8 hours of sleep a night. Okay. I don't mind calling a parent, and I have. Your child doesn't know how to shut the house down at night, so since you're the adult, I'm letting you know that y'all need to figure out how to shut the house down at night so that your child can get enough sleep. Your child has a headache every day, and they want to take a nap down here. They're not taking a nap down here. So parents are very, thankful, receptive, but also that's if you're building a relationship. Because if I call a parent, I'm going to call them by name, and they're going to tell me that their child, little Tommy Tucker, has told me all about you. Thank you for talking with him. Thank you for being a friendly person for them. Trust me, these kids go and they talk. They'll talk to their parents. If their parents are connected with them, there are some kids that don't see their parent. They'll come see you, and you'll ask that you tell your parent, and they'll say no, they were asleep. But you do know, I need to wake up that parent because they're responsible for you. Yeah, get to know your kids. Watch out what they're eating. Look, a lot of schools, breakfast, lunch are free. I tell kids, even if you don't want to eat it, get a little muffin, put it in your backpack, just so you have something. Encourage kids to walk, even adults. When it's sunny outside, when people are depressed, we tell them to do light therapy. Where do you think you can get the most light? Mr. I tell you, we were talking the other day, it was sunny. And it was hot, but guess what? That light, it will rejuvenate you in ways that you can only imagine. Go outside, be one with nature, walk. As adults, you should, at minimum, should get at least 6 hours of sleep. For y'all that don't go to sleep. Journal. Write your thoughts down. on paper, so that you don't feel like you're keeping it in where you're gonna feel like you're gonna explode. So, yeah, so you notice that the, picture in the middle about locks, yeah, we worked that out, so that'd be me. Alright. So, if things are going on for a long period of time, especially in the school system, I would say reach out with, counselors. If you have mental health in the school, you definitely reach out to them. One thing about the mental health people though is this, especially, in a school setting, is they can talk with the person, but before they can do an intake, they would need permission from the parent. Okay, so just know that you as a parent, if you're like, oh, my child has services in school, and we know that a lot of kids and parents, depend on the school for those services. Cause they don't know, they really don't know where to go. You will be amazed, but they really don't. So, if you have a child that is talking about hurting themselves, like, some of you may notice the cutters. Like, when they wear their shirts, you might see cuts up here, and you're like, where did they get those from? They cut themselves. Knives, hangers, you name it. When they cut, even though they're inflicting what we perceive to be harm to themselves, or as a self-injurious behavior, it actually helps their anxiety, they calm, yeah. Dr. Savage said it's a release for them. Their parent still needs to know. So their parent can go confiscate whatever's in that room, okay? Suicidal thoughts. You take that serious. Okay, if they're thinking it, especially if they have a plan, that's an emergency. That's not even, we're not even gonna adjust and say, okay, in 15 minutes, no, that's right now. I need to keep my eye on you. But if they're thinking about it, believe that something else is going to be coming. If the frequent panic attacks, like the kid that can't make it to lunch, because all the people in his chest is literally about to explode. Where is he going and hiding for the rest of the day? He needs to talk with someone. Are they not coming to school? Because listen, a parent may think they're at school because they rode the bus to get there. But between the bus stop and the first bell that rings, there's a lot of opportunity for a child to just walk away. So be mindful of that. Just because you're seeing their attendance, the parent may not have seen it. And if you're a parent that changes your number a lot, you're not getting those automated calls because they didn't update the school. The school don't have the most current number. Mr. Cameron, you used to that where they don't have the most current number?
It happens occasionally.
So different things. I know it has being a school nurse trying to get hold of it all. So different therapies you can do, CBT, being able to help regulate yourself. Family involvement. Please involve the family. Some of them may actually believe that they don't need supports. I have seen parents that don't want their name on anything, not even the yellow emergency card, and that be the one student that comes down every single day wanting you to work your magic. And the parent does not want to jump on board, but it doesn't mean that you stop trying. Okay, don't badger them all day long, but give them like a few days and try again. And some medications may be appropriate, but don't get in the habit of trying to offer someone meds, or send them out to get meds, because the medication will not solve the problem. It will help you deal with the with the symptoms from whatever you're dealing with. I'm a firm believer that if you're on medications for any mental health disorder, that you should also be in therapy. Because when you get that clarity, you still got to deal with you. You still got to deal with your problem. All right, Kim, next is the video. See if you can get that to pop a little bit. They're just going to highlight it. Yeah.
Can't do it from display though.
Oh, you can't, yeah, you can't.
Not from our
You
display.
have to come out and let us see ourselves. Out of the presenters, yeah.
I present it, you know.
Because I couldn't figure out how to embed it. The older Microsoft, usually you just highlight from YouTube. And then put that into, PowerPoint.
You shared it with him, but you only, so you
Okay,
can't. do it.
PowerPoint up. Here. So hit buttons, highlight it,
Maybe at the right time.
Yeah.
There.
go down to that slide, you should be able
And I'll tell you that, AI is a beautiful thing, because if you notice, the little girl in the slides and sing little girl in every picture.
At the top.
I noticed that one time she was a nurse practitioner, I bet she was.
Yeah, that first picture was me.
Yeah. The back of head,
Yeah, you got it.
and her name tag on dress. The main student was, the student was talking to her and the practitioner, like the student was.
If you're watching this film and you probably have a child or children in your class who are either experiencing symptoms of anxiety or have a known diagnosis of an anxiety disorder, here are some easy to use tips you can apply in the classroom straight away that may help to support children when they're there. It's important to remember that feeling anxious is very normal. We all feel anxious. Developing coping strategies can be helpful for everyone. Tip 1. It's important to respond to high distress in the moment. Support children to practice mindful and grounding activities, activities that connect them to the here and now, such as calm breathing, noticing colours and shapes in the room, listening to music, and colouring in. Tip 2. Create an allocated calming corner in the classroom or nearby. This is a cozy spot that children can go to when they start to feel anxious or they're already distressed. Created with the child together, invite them to bring something from home for the corner that helps make them feel relaxed, maybe a photograph or a special cushion. Another valuable tool can be a coping box, which can be filled with age-appropriate sensory play items, ideally chosen with the child, such as slide, lavender bags, or Play-Doh. Once children have had an opportunity to calm down, offer them a chance to reflect on their distress, normalise their worries, and validate their emotions. This is most effective if done when you're feeling calm. Tip 3. Use techniques for managing anxiety with the whole class. This might include creating, sharing, and sticking to the day's timetable, verbally and visually, at the beginning of the day. Planning lessons to teach them about anxiety and modelling making mistakes. Encourage children to write down any worries that pop into their head throughout the day and posting them in a worry box in the classroom. This can also be a useful class activity. Make sure you check the worry box regularly and take time to address worries with the child. Worry monsters can also be useful for the child working with a trusted adult as part of the process of easing anxiety. For more information on working with worry monsters, please see our fact sheet. Tip 4. Create a step-by-step plan to help children gradually face their fears. It's really important to encourage children to gradually face the things they're afraid of, rather than enabling them to avoid them. Spend some time creating a step-by-step plan with the child, designing small, manageable steps to help them reach their ultimate goal. For example, if a goal is for them to put their hand up and answer a question in front of the whole class, give them the chance to answer questions in smaller groups first. Be sure to give praise for when children engage in brave behaviour or make use of the other coping strategies. Tip 5. Watch out for reassurance. It's very normal for children to seek reassurance about their worries, and in the short term, giving them reassurance can provide them with relief. However, in the long run, reassurance keeps their anxieties going. Instead, ask them open questions, such as, what can you do to find out? That help children to notice, reflect, think, and act themselves. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Your dedication and care will be making a big difference to children you're hoping to support. If you'd like more information on anxiety, you can find our fact sheet at
Go back to the other.
www.nitinthebud.
Thank you. One of the things I always like to say to anybody, even adults, kids or adults, is what data do you have to support that? Because we like to, what is it, catastrophize, where we make things so much bigger than they ever were. And so always when people bring stuff to me like that, I'm like, what proof do you have to support that? Do what? Oh, yes. You know, what proof do you have that if you ride in the back seat of your dad's car, that there's an accident that's gonna happen? Does it driving record support that? Well, no. Then what proof do you have? You know, because we can make a lot of things up in our head. If it's in our own voice, we're bound to believe it. But we call it thinking thinking. So I know I'm pressed for time, so I'm just gonna say this real quick, as far as this goes, just to reiterate. Avoiding school is not the answer. Okay, kids wanting homebound and all these things, parents really do want their children to be in school. Okay, because otherwise they do homeschool, not homebound, while they're still trying to work or while they're afraid to leave their child at home while they're at work. I've had parents say that to me. We got spring break coming up. I don't know what I'm going to do. She cannot be home by herself because for fear of what they may do to themselves, because their anxiety, their depression, all the things. So again, expose them to whatever the stressor is. Be supportive. Having a support person they can tap into. If it's Dr. Benson, he might be out in the hallway just so he can see them in the morning, so that they know he's there. Do you know how if you saw someone you trusted and you know that they are there, how your day may improve? Because I know if it goes south, he's there, I can go see him, right? So make sure you have a support person. Some kids, when they cannot regulate themselves, you may have called emotional disturbance or emotional regulation impairment. Some kids really don't have those tools to calm themselves or to be self-soothers. So just being mindful of that. But make sure you put a plan in place. And it's okay to have a team approach, even if it is not like a IEP or a 504. It is okay for me to call on my work colleagues to say, the student, I'm concerned about them. There's something that's brewing. I don't know what it is, but I think as a team, we need to tap in and make sure this person is good. Dr. Savage just told me that she has a concern cup.
I like it. That was from you too.
Oh, okay.
Credit is due.
Okay. See, okay, good. A concern cup. Yes, and as adults, when the child does give us what their concerns are, let us not be offended and taking stuff personally. It could be how the room is set up. Maybe it's too much for where the child may be sitting. Whatever the reason is, listen to the child, and just so we can help them best we can. All right. And then those are some resources that the school has. Of course, the counselor, school nurse, their primary care. Some kids don't have one, but I will do a plug for the wellness centers that we have, because they also have mental health there. They have the family nurse practitioner that can see and prescribe. So they do have resources there. Of course, we have our mental health counselors that the schools have that are available as well. And then, of course, you have trusted community resources. I always like to talk about Dr. Vincent and how he has his young male group at the middle school. Like, again, bring community members in from the outside, different pastors. Even we see our mayor coming to different school events, tapping in with our youth. So you can make things happen, but people have to know that there's a need, so that we can support our children. All right, next. All right, so what concerns do you have? What strategies have worked for your classroom? One of the things that worked for my classroom, when I taught nursing at Del Tech, my class was 24. What I would always do, I would have them pair up, and I would have them introduce their partner. I would have them come to the class, in front of the class, with whoever they're, like if we just know each other in class, we're going to ask, I have the questions lined out. I need to ask you, you need to ask me. And then Dr. Benson's job would be to present me to the class. And then I will present him. Because now at least I know one person in the class. I know if he got dogs. I know what he wants to do as far as the type of nursing he's interested in. I did not know him before, but now I have a friend.
Is it also less anxiety producing to introduce someone else versus yourself?
Well,
Is that
I
a
would
piece
say,
of it?
that's not my rationale, but absolutely that would help. What I have found, especially when people are in programs, especially at even, well, all the university or not, because it's usually in cohort,
Mhm.
people don't know who's in their class.
That's true.
They have no idea who's in, we're all in the nursing program, they might be in the same format, like 181, 180, you know,
Classes
200.
all together.
They're in classes together, but they don't know each other.
Mm.
So I like to have my icebreaker is for them to introduce themselves. A lot of people just go through like a regular generic roll call.
Mhm.
For their first day. That helps the educator learn about their student. Right? Do you have kids? Do you have adults? Do you have, all the things? And then we at least know one person that we are connected to. Because when you're in a program, a school, and this is a program, a lot of people, who do you study with? What if you miss something in class? Who can you contact? We used to be able to contact a friend back when we were in school. These kids are not like us. They're very different. They don't know how to self-regulate. They isolate very easily. They're scared to speak up even for themselves. And then when COVID happened, the same people that were already unsure about other people were home. So one of the things that I did for my children is I said, you need to get a summer job because you need to talk to people. And I'm gonna tell you something, it has paid off immensely because when I go to the dentist, the dental hygienists know who my children are because they converse with them like we did in like the 90s, the 80s and stuff like that. So anyway, think about the strategies that work for you. If you don't think,
I was, my eye over there.
Back to the seventies.
I was going to. I wasn't even thought about it. But yeah, so if you don't know strategies that'll work in your classroom, ask one of your peers, because there are some creative minds. And it takes a village, definitely. If you do have concerns of your own about your classroom management and stuff, you can talk to your APs, you can talk to your principal. People cannot help you if they don't know that you need it. And guess what? You're the first person that the student is going to see. So hopefully you can take some of these techniques and apply them to class. And also another big thing is when you set your that first day, set your expectations of yourself in front of your class and let them know what your expectations are of them. It is very confusing as a student to have a teacher that's very lax, and then all of a sudden in the middle of the school year, they're now wanting to be strict. That's very confusing when they already have those role conflicts anyway from being an adult at home and being a child in school. Then they don't know how to take you as an adult in their life. So just be mindful of how we function as well. And then, Kim, if you could put that picture up, the meditation one, and then if you have any questions, I just like this. I like this picture. I found something new on Google. If you put what you want, it can create these pictures if you like it or not. And then if you don't like it, you can try again. But it's like Notepad or something. I think it's super cool. Yeah, I like making these little things. But I will tell you this. I think it's Hans Salier. I think it's definitely Hans. You know what I'm talking about. Look him up. There's a ton of information, but it takes you through anxiety, stress, because stress and coping is where anxiety falls. Your body cannot stay in a stress state forever, okay? Because you will die. It will kill you. It will affect every system in your body. So look him up when you get the chance. But some of your illnesses might be because your body is in a constant state of stress. That is not healthy. All right, well, thank you all for attending. If you got any questions, let me know. So I shortened it as best I could, and Dr. Savage agreed to keep me on.
Miss Kim, I have, I closed up now. You look over at me, I don't have my hand here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, first thing was, great job, and the other thing was, I know I talked to one of the parents back there earlier, and she has two new children coming into our school, and I hope that she just represented the school district by saying how much we're concerned about your kids. You come to our school, not just to teach them, but to be worried about their welfare as well. And because we say that, and then I had some concerns about that, just like when we share with other teachers, like a student comes down to nurse and, you know, shares with you and you get to know them. And then there is we have wellness center where we begin to treat them for some reason. And then you share that with the other teachers. Is that gonna affect anything about to do with HIPAA? As all our teachers, everybody at our school has already signed HIPAA forms that.
So here's the
You
thing,
know what.
if school goes by FERPA,
Okay.
so schools, have the FERPA agreement, these children are minors.
Yeah.
So the FERPA will cover
Okay.
cover school that way. When the child turns 18, like when they go to college, they have to sign FERPA consent for the school to even talk to the parent. But when you're looking at a school, when you're looking at a student, you cannot self-isolate important information like that.
Right.
So if I had a child, say concussion protocol, something like that, they don't need to know if the child's on a certain medication. But the teacher surely needs to know if the child can wear, if they shouldn't be by the window because of the sun, or they can wear the noise canceling headset. The teachers have a right to know, because otherwise they have someone in their classroom that they cannot teach effectively because they don't know what's going on.
Right.
So yeah, if you have a child, like I'll give you another example. In high school, they did a paper, it was something, whatever it was, it had something to do with like some kind of sexual assault or something, and they had to break this thing apart. You don't know how many kids have been abused sexually. The student comes down shaken, and I don't have them try to verbalize, you can tell that they can't. So I'll say, okay, if it's a yes, give me a thumbs up.
Right.
If it's a no, give me a thumbs down. As a nurse, Kimberly, as a nurse, have called a teacher and said, okay, I understand that it's an assignment that you have, but it is triggering your student. What is your alternative assignment?
Right.
Because you have a child that's been abused and you give them an assignment that totally correlates with a past experience. Now you've triggered this. Like, we gotta be mindful of things. But no, the teacher giving out these assignments, the teacher has no idea that what they're triggering, the student never tells them.
Right.
So I think the best way to work is as a village. They don't need to know everything, don't need to know by who or when or all those things.
Right.
They just need to know that they're triggered.
I think like for adults, like first of all, there's no academic need for this person to know this information.
Yeah.
And like that was just the ultimate litmus test, like if not, then they don't need to know what it is, they should know.
I think also it helps me, I understand now why, you know, again, we were laughing about way back in the day, we had one teacher, and now how we have so many other aides in our class, so that one teacher doesn't have to be, but the different kids have different needs. And we have that availability now in the classroom, you know, and I've learned since being on the board to understand the importance of having the assistants and all the other special needs people in the classrooms. So again, for the ones that are coming out, bringing kids to our school, hey, it's been awesome. I'm here to say we're in the right direction. The other thing was, you know, how come, you know, when they have somebody speaking on film and all that, they have some of that great accent, like a British accent.
So,
Just find somebody right around here.
you know,
I should have asked you.
We need to call your parents. I'll be listening to her too. I'm like, okay.
So Mr. Wright, I'm just gonna tell you. Some of the American videos they had. So the videos that I actually,
Somewhere.
the videos that I actually have will have disclaimers.
What you want there?
And then, you might hear a word come out, and I'm like, how do I put that in the retreat? So let me find somebody.
Yeah,
That's right.
Go ahead
And then we, you know,
do that.
we'll call your parents, we have to, we'll go get it.
And I will.
We'll manage her phone.
And then when I called the parent, I said, I think your child is confused, but I'm not sure what they're speaking with. I'm gonna put you on speakerphone so you can talk with them.
Yeah, yeah. It's neat. Anyway, great job, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, I think we are ready to transition to our reflection and analysis of the board self-evaluation. Do we need a bio break, just as we resettle, or just as you need, and then we will, get started again by like 10:15.
Okay, let's start, we're starting in 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's, but the recording will stay on, meeting is still in session, but we're just gonna move around for about 10 minutes, take a little stretch break. Reduce any anxiety through meditation if needed.
I'll stress.
I have my safety.
I have
points
one
in.
thing.
Please know, we're still recording, so.
We are still recording.
I'll leave. But we have to do it all the time. I will be still in there.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Help me. What I see in my mind.
St. John's.
Yeah, yeah.
Funny, and you grow up and say that, and it's like next generations, you didn't tell my age, you know.
Yeah.
Now your grandma. You were here. It's my career.
Yeah.
Like someone pretty much.
Yeah, so far it was, I trained my kids, I got one more, that's gonna go to St. John's again with you.
So you hear about made up of every tree, and you find.
Yeah.
Good deal.
That's it.
Yeah, but I missed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's, they.
Well, they got an ammo, but after that, she was like, one of these present itself more as items, like, because it's always always proposed. You like being able to be close to the age, it's not, comes like, you want to do it, it's the end of
If they feel like they can't do it, they're gonna get out of the classroom. And they get hit with, infractions for.
Well, yeah, and then it seems like when they do that, they'll be doing that. Safe place.
Yes.
And that's not administratively defined, it's just a person where it can feel is gonna say. You can say, oh, just go sit in council. Space.
And it's full. There's kids everywhere.
And people moving around, all that kind of stuff. You go as far as Mason. Did you understand this?
Huh?
Seems like.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it is here.
Yeah, my kids are going, we're neighbors, I mean, Marianne's, my kids are all going to school together. Yeah. I think I have 2 kids going to.
Yeah, but you think it, you know, it stems from us being so.
We do
that. And.
Situation,
Time to be proactive, because we're all trying.
Okay, so everyone needs to leave.
Fire out.
I'm sorry, my kids are not really installed yet. My girls are cool.
Where are you from?
I'm from Florida.
She from Secret, Delaware.
I did, I ran like work, I worked 3 years, so I ended up here now.
Get out of here. Yeah. Well, look at this.
Seems to be working out. I mean, I've only ever been to one other school board meeting, which was in, when we lived in Virginia. So, yeah.
It's gonna be dry.
But a lot.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna be dry. So the trees are a little different
I
because, so,
And
More.
I remember a photo of her, and I'm like, yeah. This rat, she did the right there.
Great to watch, because we're learning a lot together here, so.
They're very. And the thinking after this,
I'm happy. Get out loud.
Was home there like?
I feel like every time I film something, I always have to do it so bad. The kid's graduation last year, I was like literally like peeing out of my eyes, I had to pee. As soon as my kid went up there, I'm like, oh. Yeah, there's some songs. Thank
you.
It's every time, every
time.
witness to it, yeah. Every time.
That means you had good fun.
Yeah, well, I feel like I was so proud of my
Yeah, that's.
and then.
Let me tell you something, so, the tourists, you guys put the doc, whatever, in the area, say, well, this is almost what
You gotta reach here, just reach out.
Yeah.
all the more, to get a little bit, but 20 minutes after you leave, you're gonna have.
You can come back.
Yeah, you're come back for
Usually
lunch.
that's up to you, we always know. I've been waiting till last.
So Dr.
No.
Saturday.
I held it
You're
anyway.
rich.
Army National Guard.
Okay, here, in secret,
I'm not a that, bro.
bro.
Maintenance
Oh,
job.
on my way, I was in Ocean View. Okay, yeah.
So.
And she's my former student, that's not her head.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a better name.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Let's get back for the done.
Oh, you're.
Only like later when I walk around in the shuttle.
Still.
See that good hanging out. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's an experience that you think that, but to think about. The focus on hard on the play.
Indeed.
Yeah, anxiety and ADHD.
They're nice.
No, they're different.
Identify a person who needs.
I looked at it and I was like, I know,
I think camp.
I'm very similar, it's some symptoms, you know, a lot of them are the same.
So when you're looking at, any type of disorder like that, you
Yeah.
actually go up to the DSM-5 to figure out, what it potentially could be.
Yeah.
He loves them.
Because and you need to like do like a heart anxiety.
Sure.
It's something about a circle.
Yeah.
But there's something going on. See, for the mind disorder.
I really appreciate this.
Yeah. Mark in front of the table, man, you get close.
That'll bring us.
Here.
All right, so I'm gonna put on my teacher hat now. We're gonna shift gears. In the packet in front of you, there is a couple pages. One says like executive summary. So what I did is used good old AI. And I ran an analysis of the board self-evaluation. Now, if you recall, everything was above average in terms of grades. But on a comparative scale, 3 sections came out higher than the other 3 sections. So I'm gonna give you 3 minutes to read through that executive summary. It is a 2-page document, but it's mostly bullet points. That'll give you a chance to digest and just show me your eyes when you're finished processing that executive. Alright, so I'm gonna, for everyone else, so the strengths were strong board culture, positive superintendent relationship, and effective governance during meetings. The challenge or growth areas were community relationships, financial leadership, and instructional program. I'm gonna add some caveats there. Under financial leadership, it recognized more, it was less about understanding finances at the district level versus the state kind of financial picture and how we communicate that and cope with that. It was less about the district and more about what's happening at the state level. Instructional program, again, it's more about not that we're not doing what we need to do instructionally, but making sure that we all have all of the information to be able to, again, respond to state level expectations, laws, high quality instructional materials, some science of reading, all of the things that come with that to make sure that we can adapt those expectations at the district level. And then community relations, again, still rated effective, but that was our weakest area. So we're gonna do a gallery walk next, and there are 3 charts. Each of the charts is one of these areas of challenges: community relationships, financial leadership, and instructional program. And each chart is divided into 2 sides. And I would ask you to respond to 2 questions. They are listed on each of the charts. One of them is what contributes to this score. So not so much as what made the score lower, but what in general contributes to the score. And then on the other side, what could the board do differently? So if there's some ideas about what might need to happen in that area to make improvements, that kind of self-reflection. So by the time we're finished, we'll have 5 answers on each side of each chart. And then we will come back, we'll look at the answers, and I have a series of questions to kind of generate some conversation.
So, okay, we'll be going away, right?
So let's think. No,
They're down there.
Oh, okay.
So, and I just wanna add also, so I remember this was, and Dr. Lewis was very passionate when we were talking about these scores that day.
Yeah.
And I agree with Dr. Vincent on this. When we're talking about the community relationship, it's not that we don't have a good community relationship, but also looking at, like, we share a lot of the information on social media that comes from the district. Because we,
Oh, wait, don't say that, that might.
Right, we put on that.
well, we already said this in the board meeting.
I know, but it's so cool.
So I'm just bringing back to the memory.
Yep.
Of, you know, what this is, and just remembering that we felt that we were doing good.
I think this is just a process of continuous improvement, right? So,
So can I add a caveat too, if, something that, if we're gonna use Post-its,
Mhm.
everybody's gonna write on the Post-its.
yes, I'm sorry.
So my suggestion is to write on the side where the adhesive is. I know it sounds crazy, but when you write on the side where the adhesive is, when you put it on there, nobody can see what you put.
Mhm.
And it stops you from saying, oh yeah, and then that. So if you write on the side where the adhesive is and then put yours down, then, you know, everybody's thoughts are there.
Okay. That's
And
interesting.
then I'll share it at the end and it'll be a surprise.
Yeah. It's enough when I saw.
That's just for people.
Yeah, you know.
Thank you for that, Dr. Savage. Alright, does anybody need a pen or is everybody?
So, when I did, we just went out, we said, you're gonna get all.
Mhm.
And it's like each one have a different color pencil.
Yeah.
I mean, a sharp, different color.
I
pencil.
want to do it on the wall. A little short on the
All right, so what, so let's go over.
So we're going.
I get a
Table off. There you go. So no, you're doing 1 for financial management. And then here, so you're gonna do 1 through 6.
So why- so-
Sure.
That's English.
It's the same time. That way we can this order.
One page on.
Yep.
Does she have it on here?
Well, but yeah, was information, we don't have information on front of us here, but, um.
I have a copy of the survey results.
I got everything, but I have the.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a right back in 5 years.
Yep, you sure did.
Probably the. He's gonna do a branch.
Oh, okay.
Remember when he started, I'm young, I mean, so I feel like Ben, I want to go. Thank.
No, I'm just,
I don't know, I can.
he asked what contributes to the score.
Optimize and save years of living instant. We were worse off. There we go.
No, it's all else. Oh, no, it's nice. Oh, no. I don't know. Take a look at one from when I had that few reasons. Well, that's what we done.
Yes. What more class was contributed to the sport? Right, but I can get it on the other side. I'm just.
Oh, wait, I'll check the spelling.
What's that?
Check the spelling.
You will be scored on something.
Especially by that, so.
Listen, your hat is off.
Oh, yeah, it was off there.
I know, it's awful, yeah. Probably on social media, I'm like, oh.
I'll show you.
That's much. And I just took a screenshot of it. No issues. Don't miss anything. Yeah.
Even if they didn't stop, the fact is that the arsenal.
On the spot. No. From my honest. No, drinks there.
Yeah. I'm here.
And people can't even gauge what he was like where an icon.
And he was the littlest thing,
Yes,
but big.
yes. Do fire guys.
I would not be outside today with the air quality.
The smoke is terrible.
It's even worse now than this morning there.
That's
Like,
why
I
I
don't
was
smell
out there.
It smells like smoking. Oh, that's it. Only for so probably, yeah. I don't have kids outside to read today. I don't even really want buildings and grounds outside today. Can we pull them inside too?
I will have one.
But I'm not that really. I hope not, then you get outside reasons today.
I'll be done.
Yeah.
I'm bringing my way.
I don't know. Right. Whoa. I'm really on you. That's it. Like some honors. To talk with. Talk with the place, that's the parts full. I have another one that's in.
Yeah, take them.
I know, because you make it nice to take a peek at that. I wanna start.
I was gonna force one of my requests. I was forceful in my request.
What was your request?
Very good request.
There's a question I want to start asking.
That's on this thing, take care of it.
I was hoping.
Our point is that not powerful. It's not our
And.
When I was teaching.
My kid is, like, she gets all the information from my kid and her kid, and I get, no matter, like, she's learned that. My dad teacher that, because I don't like going through and something to get rid of. Yeah, he has to be distracted, or he's not going on, because it's focusing. He does not, like, I does not want to talk to me. At all. Yeah. I always ask her, hang out. Yeah. You give my kid to talk to him. How's he doing? That's why I'm so fortunate to have the best neighbor ever.
I will try.
I would, yeah, I would.
I took one room. Okay, that's why I'm asking where they.
This is big. And they are literally open, 6, and then usually I think it's open at 2.
That's already, yeah.
But they're usually sold out
Before that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they do that, that's those engagement with the parents. I didn't think about my place. Yeah, that's now there's something with probably that's the house and now we're going to see and why house we're gonna see. Now 5 months. There's a book to sell and then everybody. Everybody's good. So it's like I'm a big child, it's right out the road. It's good to have a point. That's right. I do water.
See, that's more, and I'm thinking of a lot of other people, a lot, yeah, but yeah.
I was like, right now you guys are two most engaged community members.
with young kids going into the school district, we feel like it's very important to be involved and know what's going on. We want to try to come to every meeting if possible and be there involved.
I think of one too, like meeting to meeting, the same topics start to come up, you'll see like the continuation of like one meeting to the next, how conversations and topics, which is when you don't get from just talking to a single.
Yeah. Yeah, see that.
Very good.
I'll say that.
What I.
It's a great topic.
Well, I'm like on vague,
They are good, just.
Also, it's also so like tool. So then it's a.
Emphatically no.
This is all the streets I get from there.
I left the other half in there.
Well, I've already had one minute, this is the second one, and we're gonna have lunch in an hour and a half, so you can just slow my roll.
That's not, I'm not, I got my little, whirlwind.
Take Sandra home for dinner. You should.
The worst is your summer stomach versus your school stomach.
Oh, yes, the school's money, you don't have.
But I'm still working, but I'm still not on my school, like at 10:35, I'm ready for lunch every day, I don't care where I am. 10:35.
But
I don't know.
This week, the school ladder, and so much others.
No, I had my room there, I'm in my new building,
Yeah.
in my.
Oh, how is your building?
Because I'm gonna maintain posture positivity.
Yes.
We are on the cusp. I've been ready. So there's a few more things that need to be done that are out of our control, so all I can do is sit and wait for Delaware State University.
You got your own taxes.
But I've got my own.
You're all like.
Talk about to get on.
All right. I am going to read through our kind of contributors and changes. I know, but we're a small intimate group here, so. All right, so this is for instructional program. When we talk about what contributes to knowledge about instructional program, not so much a lower score, but what is kind of the general picture. All buying into programs. On the Delta side, lack of knowledge of the processes the state has on schools. Changing state expectations. The board's knowledge of curricula used. So that's more of a granular level of knowledge. Adoption of new curricula, ensuring alignment of that curricula. And then what could the board do differently? Conduct or participate in alignment studies. Sit in on the conversations when picking products, or meet with an education with the directors. Maybe more detailed presentations of curricula. Soliciting volunteers from the community who may have a background in this subject matter or to engage in conversation which sparks diversity of thought. And then attending more state meetings. So I have some initial thoughts, that, you know, we do have a curriculum review committee that Dr. Jeanette leads. There are things here that would be kind of, on my plate in terms of making sure that presentations at monthly board meetings maybe have more information this year regarding curriculum and the process of how it's chosen, how that ties in with state level demands. If I look at you know, this was a board self-evaluation of the things that are under your locus of control would be state level meetings. Attending 2 presentations regarding curricula. So I think, you know, there's a combination of understanding what's happening at the state level, and then it would be my responsibility or director's responsibility to share additional information. Maybe it's even just having a 1-pager, a cheat sheet of this is the curriculum used at elementary and secondary in each of the different content areas.
That's actually a better idea of what I was gonna ask for. I know that with Dr. Savage and Marcus, they sit in on policy and helping with that policy. Maybe one of us, 2 of us sit in and listen to, you know, what's going on with curricula or how we're proposing this year based on what state's regulation or whatever it is that they're proposing that we must do for the district.
I was thinking, when is the curriculum review committee, like, when is it held, and also the state,
So what I'll do afterwards is take this all back and we'll type it up, kind of, these were the ideas, and then we'll talk about like some possible responses, and then we could do some of that now as well, but. Karen's also taking notes, so.
So another question, real quick, is it that we have not had a curricular, had a change? I don't, when we look at bookworms and all, when we were actually looking at the end products, we would get a lot of presentations on those, looking at how they align to the middle school use and all those things. Is the lack of those, presentations happening because we haven't changed?
I think that's exactly what, I mean, we've
Yeah,
had
because-
for 12 years now.
Yeah, so I remember I remember, you know.
But revisiting it and kind of like, here's a refresher, this is what we use, this is how it's changed, here are the fundamental pieces. I mean, certainly.
I would also like to see what our academic progress looks like comparison, like as we brought in some of those products as well. Like obviously, like if we've had something for 12 years, there's the pandemic built in that kind of like, you know, screwed up everything, but like what does that look like as well? Like,
And that's what I've asked Dr. Jeanette a couple of times, what's the alignment with the state testing scores? With the curriculums, I know we're going through the same thing, so if it's not helping.
Right, well, so we saw, you know, prior to the pandemic, test scores improved between 2015 and 2020. Steep drop off for us, and the rest of the state after the pandemic. And right, nationally, we have grown since then, but we are not yet back to pre-pandemic levels, nor is anyone else. So what we've also seen in those 12 years is, you know, there's a lot of staff turnover and all of that enthusiasm of the new bookworms curriculum. We were doing something different. We were one of the first districts to adopt an HQIM that was based on the science of reading. And so we saw some of those improvements and that growth ahead of everybody else. Now, with the laws being passed regarding science of reading and high quality instruction materials, other districts are gaining that ground that we had established previously. So actually, we talked with Dr. Jeanette about how we have to kind of go back to basics with some of our bookworms that we've had a little drift, right? We need to go back with that high expectations, those small groups, less scaffolding. You know, I think with the best of intentions, teachers sometimes think, oh, I need to provide more supports to get the student where I need them to go. But the bookworms curriculum has those supports built in. We don't need to do the extra stuff. But certainly based on this conversation, I'll ask Dr. Jeanette at our next board meeting or in September, probably coincide with when test scores are released, to share what we're doing to kind of make sure that we're staying on track. I mean, we are, but we want to accelerate.
Unrelated to bookworms, I know that I had asked you about this before, maybe this might be before Dr. Jeanette. I have this belief that the reason why some of the things that we are targeting our students to get to, they're not getting there because there's too much electronic stuff that is doing it for them.
And I
And I remember I was asking you,
yeah.
like, are they still,
So
how
we
we
still
can
teach cursive, yes, we
Okay.
still teach cursive. That's in elementary school and,
They're writing their drafts
at
out by
high,
hand?
yeah, at the high school, they're writing things by hand. Especially now as we've seen more use of AI. Teachers are often having students do an initial written response without technology. To get a better baseline of what they're able to do.
Which will, Dr. D, so a preview for the policy meeting for our
Right.
two members. In August, we're gonna be presenting the first reading of an AI policy, for both students and staff, just like these are kind of our premise behind it and then the regulations along with it. It's not mandatory yet at the state level, but it's coming at some point, so we try to get ahead of it and work on it, so we'll be bringing that to you guys in the August policy meeting, kind of this.
And I think, it's part of the statewide strategic plan, so like just trying to implement all of those things.
Yeah, that would be
So
good.
how serious is what the people?
It's not a model, it's one that I
Why?
Good.
worked on that, it's not one we're given.
I got you from too.
Yeah.
I have a question, Jeff, we're talking about being with bookworms for like 12 years. Does bookworms, do they do like a revision every so many years or whatever that maybe we get since we've already purchased or with them?
So, Bookworms is actually open source, it's free to use.
Okay,
Dr. Walpole, does introduce, new novels into the curriculum. But the main framework of the techniques, how reading is taught. It's not a textbook like the old fashioned, textbook that needs revising. I don't think that her science of reading instruction has changed, but the novels that are incorporated into the curriculum have been updated and changed out.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I brought that to Dr. D, and it's not even just in K-12, it's even collegiate or even in practice, that a lot of the things that we created for the electronic were to help us be more effective and efficient. But the thing is, we already have the foundation of doing it ourselves. So like you have the technology for your medical records now, but we used to write those things out by hand. I used to have to know what reactions you could have, the side effects of drugs. Now you have a computer system that does that for you, and the newer nurses don't have to memorize them. And then we're looking at writing scholarly papers, when we have to write a draft by hand, then you have to know where your commas and semicolons are. You need to know how to use the word to, TL, or TO, right? So when you have the little squiggly from, Microsoft Office, put it there for you, or have Grammarly interfacing with Microsoft Office, then guess what? You're not learning. So that puts you behind when you have to be able to function independently. Or God forbid, technology goes, damn.
Well, and we've talked a lot about that with AI too, right?
Yeah.
Using it to speed up the things you already know how to do versus thinking for you in the first place, or having it generate something.
Also, it should be completing the task for you, not thinking for you.
Not initiating the task, but refining,
Yeah.
or yes, I mean, the same way like this executive summary.
Let it
We
analyze.
already were able to look at the survey, we, had put it together. By having AI do that piece, it just saved me the time of.
Doing the calculation yourself.
Right, exactly, like it can come up with all the numbers, so, but yeah, I mean,
It's not good at thinking, but it's taking tests.
it's right, that's right, there.
I didn't stay on my desk. I'm online learning because I use it every day. But I know Sharon or Dr. Warpole is, she updates the novels. Is there, a review, is there a dive on, making sure that they're culturally responsive?
Yes,
and relevant?
yes.
That's part of the work that curriculum council kind of does in there as well, but when we look at those things.
Some of these questions I asked her, when we realized that, you know, test scores, again, not just for us, but across the state, kind of stagnant, do we need to explore a different reading curriculum? But, I mean, it's good. 10 years ago, we had much higher scores using that curriculum. I don't think it's the curriculum, right? So, but I will, let Dr. Jeanette speak more to that. I'm sorry that she's not here today, but when we meet, when we kind of process to do something else.
One more thing, and this is, actually for the policy, because I won't see you, I don't think, before you have the AI review, correct?
Correct, you will.
Okay, so I just want to say this, I know that when students use the Chromebooks and they go on some very, suspicious sites, that it flags you guys. With AI being on the Chromebooks, the stuff that the kids are researching or putting in asking AI, will it also flag? And the reason why I ask this is this week, just this week, I read where the parents had a lawsuit because AI assisted in their child's suicide by telling him how to do it, that he doesn't need to tell anyone about it, that they're there to support him.
So
will it flag?
anything like that would flag to our, you know, is it Guardian? There's something new, but there's something new coming, we just got that, there's a new program coming from the state as well, but yes, anything, regardless of what program it's put into, or any, same thing, they go to a site, whatever, that triggers that flag to us, yes.
Okay, awesome, I just didn't know if you need to put that in the literature, when you write policy, because I was just like, ooh, let me tell you about that.
I think, one of the things, all the stuff we're talking about, and then we changing stuff or reviewing things. The main thing is make sure we can put a date at the bottom. Of everything that we review, we have reviewed. I'm sure, as we know already, there's been times we review some things and it's been 10, 15 years. Dr. E said it's been 12 years since the review of our program. When we do review it, make sure we always record a date or the review at the bottom. So that helps the parent saying, well, you can keep that program forever. When the last time I looked at it, it's not worth my time.
No, that's a good point. All right, financial management. The responses that said, what contributes to the score is, being careful to not give out too much info. Lack of knowledge of how to bring the public into the school financial process. I think we're great here. Limited funds from DOE or the state of Delaware. And unfair allocation of funds. Indeed. So what can the board do differently when it comes to communicating financial information? We need to encourage the public to attend budget meetings and board meetings. Community financial meeting. And hard copies in public places. Inviting the public in to meet with Patches to get an in-depth knowledge of how school funding works outside of board meetings and community forums. And then different ways to advocate at the state level.
So some of that's covered in CBOC, right?
Yes, yep, so the community financial meeting, we have the CBOC.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to.
Yeah.
Citizens one is what I was
Citizens website, yeah.
Because I see the posting on Facebook, I share it, but that's not getting people, we need a different way.
I think if we're thinking about you guys and your own roles, hard copies in public places, or maybe is this another example of you each having a folder or a folio that has information that you have with you? And when the question comes up, you can say like, oh, I have that information, it's not all in my head, I haven't memorized the entire financial picture.
It's financial, it's the curricula, it's everything.
Maybe what we're talking about is a small folio of information just to have at your fingertips.
And you have both our copies in digitally.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I love that as an idea, it'd probably be good for me too, just have that little cheat sheet, right? You know, inviting people to meet with Patches. Not here to speak for himself, but I'm gonna say.
Load him up.
No, one of the things after the reassessment and when we adjusted the tax rate. That was so powerful for both Patches and I. We didn't have a ton of emails and phone calls. I was probably less than 20, but he and I, we called everyone back. Explained to them, spoke with them personally. Some of them did come in and meet Patches. And we both found it extremely valuable. I mean, people were calling, they were stressed, they didn't understand, they had questions. And I don't think, you know, at the end, some of them, they still didn't like their tax bill, but at least they understood where it came from. And we both found it satisfying in some ways, right? To engage in the public that way, to share information. It was great, so.
And we also got out in front of it.
Yeah,
We presented that.
yes, I mean, I think, and that was the big difference even just between Newcastle and Sussex, right? Is that they got caught a little bit there on the back end of things, so. I don't know, any other general kind of thoughts about the financial piece?
I think a lot of our issues are things that are truly outside of our control.
I mean, very true. I mean, you have someone, and it doesn't matter where you're at in the state, they'll say, oh, you're gonna need a new school. But do you know how we pay for that? You know, you want a new school, but you don't want your taxes affected. And we don't have enough, they're coming people. Yeah, so that's.
Yeah.
Or doesn't they follow? But even my second home.
Yeah, I mean,
In school, but you didn't gotta pay for it.
different ways to advocate to say, but.
So that's,
So that's-
and that's my main thing, you know, with the agency though. Because they truly do not, I don't know if they can't even conceptualize. That our buildings are over 100 years old, and it's 100 or almost 100. And it's like they don't care at all. But they want this and we have to do this and we're so regimented on these other things, but you won't even repair a roof on a building, you'll approve a quarter of a roof to be.
Now this year they did, they have deferred that CM process as well as the process that they do, there's another one for making architectural barrier, yeah, so they haven't settled on a methodology for those things yet. So as superintendents, we are optimistic that they're at least looking at the enrollment versus age conversation.
Dr. D, one of the things we're also talking about is it not just being an individual or a couple of folks at DOE making that decision, like there being a
Right.
committee that is put
And
together
that's what it feels like, that's what you said.
to make it be a little bit more independent. There'll still be some, they talk about the makeup of the committee, but rather just be sitting in an office, all right, well, Apple gets this, Mark gets that. Yeah,
And
it'd be.
in the
more-
past, it had to do with legislators
Yeah.
and their, you know, power. Who they were answering to, getting things done for their constituents. And,
I lack of understanding, because I wanna say, and I said it before. To me, this is an equity issue. This is no different than a separate but equal. When you have some schools that have a new school, how many schools, 4 schools under 5 years old? No, eight, okay, and, you know, they get a nice new school. And then we're expected to have the same outcomes, but using older, setups. And so, yeah, equally, you have a school, but is it equitable?
So as PEFC has become permanent, this is one of the things that we plan to talk about, that we plan to address, along with equalization,
What does that
school
stand for?
lunches,
What's the right-
transportation, the Public Education Funding Commission. These are things so those are the things that live outside of that general funding formula. We plan, as the PFCs become permanent, we plan to address those issues as well. So there's essentially gonna be a couple of tracks that happen. There's gonna be the ones that handle those things that happen outside the formula, and then there's gonna be the implementation side of the new formula that, was passed and everything. So this was something that before when I met with Senator Sturgeon to join the commission and become the vice chair, this is the first thing I brought up.
Here's my thing, Marcus, with the hybrid formula. Is that the state could say, yes, you earned additional units, which is great, but if I don't have local funds.
Right.
To pay for those extra units, the new formula does nothing for the district.
Exactly.
So it's that equalization
Mhm.
piece that's gonna be so vitally important to.
Absolutely. I was moving for that. It was.
And reform or all those other.
I was saying, this is literally the high, like equalization is literally the next highest priority. It was just the fact that we couldn't get it done because Newcastle County wasn't sorted out, so we couldn't do anything without the data. So this next year, that's what's happening, and it's going to work. It should work and coincide with the implementation for the next school year.
I mean, it's the same thing with the elimination of the give back.
Yeah.
Fabulous, we love not having to trade that money in, but for every 70,000 we spend now out of the give back. Or the not give back, we have to match up with our local portion, so, we're trying to figure out. How many of those units can we use without compromising our local funds? So that we're now gonna speed up that process towards referendum.
Reason equalization was the hardest, but that's a volume.
Yeah, you would never.
But you didn't really have a choice.
Alright. Alright, and then, community relationships. When we say what contributes to this score, while we make an effort, the community doesn't engage back. Parents have to work, need more after-hour weekend events. Sharing info at public events and maintaining a posture of continued improvement. So what could we do differently? More than attending games and graduation, post and repost. Meeting with civic groups, visiting schools. Possibly engage with the community through other mediums such as Rotary, Kiwanis, chamber function, tabletop events, weekly write-ups in the local paper. This helps us try to exhaust every option of communicating with our constituents. In community meetings, like field hearings, promote times and dates that vary for different shifts of work. And then making connections with businesses. That's something I think you guys have done before. I can address, like I belong to Rotary. So certainly, somebody could come to a Rotary function, with me.
Let me get the dates.
So I put that about the civic groups, and then somebody else put it to like Kiwanis and stuff like that. When I ran, all of them called me and said, can you come? All of them, Kiwanis, what's the Star? I mean, I had never heard of these, but they called me and they said, no one ever comes. So that's why I said, okay, I went, and I haven't continued to go, but I've been inviting them. So if we are going to make sure that we're, just like Jeff said, the calendar, then we can hit Rotary, we can hit the Starfish, we can hit Kiwanis, we can hit the VFW, we can hit these different places just to let them know who we are and that we're out there. Because some people only know who we are from Facebook.
Right, and I think that for some of those organizations, it's a matter of calling up the president or whoever's in charge of the agenda setting and saying, I would like to come speak to the group,
And
right?
you don't even have to say a lot, just come and record. I'm just here, want to make sure we're being a part of the community. Speak, just
Yeah. All right, wheels are turning on that one.
This is essentially what I was saying in my part too. Just like more engagement with like some of those civic groups, and even like I mean, then maybe there's a situation where we have a meeting somewhere else, it's not like a district place, like, just for a little more engagement at a different time. You know,
Good people.
people still meeting at Pizza King, on a Saturday for, and things like that, just to discuss district issues and things like that.
So an open forum kind of.
Pizza or breakfast at Pizza King,
So it would have to be 3 people,
right? Three or two.
Well, that or what?
If it's 3, then we got.
That's what I was last year about the brunch with the board, and then my little brother over there had a little joke, but he thought the board should have the public. But yeah, you go. But yeah, that's something that, I brought up.
Well, and that divides the responsibility for you guys as well, right? So. And I, I'm more than happy to help facilitate that, but again, because the board self-evaluation in something like that, you gotta tell me, like. Sarah calls and says, Tim and I would like to be able to use the presentation room at the high school, or maybe you need help, maybe you wanna be at one of the community centers or at a church, like whatever that is. Certainly we can help facilitate, get the word out, social media and that sort of thing. On that note, Kristen, Brett and I have been working with Secret Star. Starting this year, 4 times a year, we're gonna have a 1-page newsletter, if you will. I went to the Kiwanis meeting a couple months ago. What was that? I don't remember.
It was after break, it was after spring break.
I know
so
we
maybe
go.
Yeah.
April, May, somewhere.
So, and I was speaking with the one gentleman and, bragging about all of our achievements and accomplishments, and he's like, I didn't know any of this, and I was like. It's on Facebook all the time, like we do daily posts, and he's like, oh, I'm not on Facebook.
Right.
And I was like, okay, there it is. So if you don't have a child in the district, maybe you're older, you're not on social media, you're not getting our emails, that kind of thing.
Right.
You're not. So I was like, okay, these are the people that we're talking about, who are community members, not parents, not active on social media. So Kristen and I started brainstorming about that. So our first page will be in August in the Secret Star. It will be information or articles that are particularly public facing, like anybody who's got a child in the district, they're gonna know when back to school nights are, or school lunch prices, those kind of things. These articles are gonna be more for community members to know what's happening in the schools, but not so much at a granular level. We'll include a picture of the school board that we just took with everybody's new positions. I'm trying to remember what things were that we talked about now.
Yeah, because I used to have them, the good old secret cross.
So it's gonna be, it's gonna be like that, but it'll be Pride-ish in that, and it's 1 page. What did we say, was it not the cell phone policy? Because again, that's not for Mr. Smith, who doesn't have kids, who's a community member, he doesn't need to
How,
care whatever.
about how they can get involved, we had this conversation about, like, for example. Especially during referendum time, looking at like folks at Manor House.
Mhm.
Those folks still drive, they would love to come read a book or the Cat in the Hat or whatever to the kids. How do they know what's going on? I know that we were talking about that back then because they come out to vote for or against. But how do they get the information about what makes us so amazing?
Well, that goes to Mr. Rice's point about the paper copies. If you have card stains or whatever, they can go to the Manor House and then it'll exercise room or community room, or they can be put in those places strategically. If people don't have kids.
Yeah, and I know like with Kiwanis, I know that Miss Girl does some things with them. And I don't mind talking to Starfish because I actually was one of their guest judges for the secret pageant. So so we have, and honestly, most of the people that are in the
So this one, I don't know, maybe we even add like our goals and priorities, like these are the things the district is focused on. we won't have our, unembargoed test scores be by the August one. But maybe by the next one, we would have like kind of the summary of that.
I like what Kim said about how they can be involved. Because they're.
Like the volunteer process.
Volunteers.
Classroom praying moms, you know, all those things. Classroom, up your flag got your governor.
Oh, it's going down. Oh, it's still, yes, that's it, man. See, when you get together half an hour, it's especially. I mean, not for me, I don't know that.
But and I think the community relations, back to the binder of info, I think that will also provide like a perfect opportunity that. You know, you'll be able to respond to folks' questions with more confidence as well.
So, question about the binder, are you talking about us, like, I'm driving around, you have the binder in our car like a Bible, or are you talking about? Having like in different, like, locations? Because I tell you, like, when you're working in an organization, especially in healthcare, they'll have the binders right there at the front, so you can look at their results of their survey, you can look at their staffing patterns, all the things. Is this binder something to give like a reflection of like the district, strategy or what we currently are looking like and where we're trying to go? Because then my question is, who's responsible for updating that and making sure that one binder doesn't have stuff from 2026 and the other binder has 27?
I think you were talking about a binder like that, I'm not sure you're talking about it or not.
It could evolve to one
That's
pager,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, and it could be updated.
That's why I asked.
Annually. Yeah.
But it also keeps us sharp.
Yeah, I mean, I like to be able to walk
It's
like
hard,
a water,
yeah,
say,
Uh,
yeah, let me come right back.
But I don't hate the idea of having that, like, not necessarily with us, but like at the front desk of each of the buildings. You know, so if someone's waiting for a kid, they can flip through like, oh, I didn't know that, that's pretty cool.
And we could even include more personal information about each of our board members, right? If this is about getting you, all right.
We're talking on digital webpage.
Yes,
More information about each
like
of you.
there should be information about us, not just our name and when we leave.
Secret. I can't.
Got a break?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top secret. That's easy.
Day.
Do you have any ideas for us? This is going against protocol, not really supposed to engage with, but do you have any other ideas or feedback for us as a group?
I mean, honestly, I agree, as a parent showing up to a board meeting, I could see why people won't sit and they don't show up, because you guys don't really engage with us. And look for our opinion, we don't feel like we can raise our hand and speak our opinion and things like that. If we do have ideals, we have to sit here and stay quiet and wait till the next month to file, to be able to even speak up.
You don't have to, but you don't have, if you can still, you can send email to the board, email. We have, on our website, you send it to the school board ourselves, you can send it to Dr. D, like,
If you see this.
yeah, or maybe if you don't have to, you don't have to wait.
Maybe we put more information out there.
It makes it hard for parents to feel like they can.
Say, right, and
engage with you guys.
so maybe explaining why why the board meeting is like that, right? Where this is a business meeting.
Right.
It's not the time for public comment, but if you would like to engage, please, and then have that kind of, here's additional opportunities, right?
So that's what the state prescribes it.
Yeah,
It's not, it's,
So- Well, we need to
Yeah.
explain that, and it's not us just gatekeeping or slamming that door, like, this is how it's set up, but here are other additional opportunities for feedback and engagement.
mhm.
The other thing is, when we do community forums, that's more of the back and forth, communication, with the constituent. But you can definitely reach out to us directly if you have a question or.
I mean, you could put that in the newspaper article too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Every-
Put the board email so we can.
Yeah, you're waiting a whole month and you have forgotten the energy behind why you want to do that in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
And even like when we're talking about things like policy and things like that, we have that first reading. You know, let us know how you feel about that. Like, you know, Mr. Cameron, we all want that information. And so then we have that second reading, we know, hey, we did get this feedback. And then, you know, adjustments may be made, may not be made, like, you know, but like,
And
It's a-
the lack of communication is good, because I had to do it for years. There used to be a reporter at every meeting, and they did a story. You know, on the highlights of the board, that was my
Yeah.
Just quick comment.
job.
Well,
But they don't do
I
it
do
anymore.
think there is usually generally an article in the Secret Star about our board meeting every month. I think they watch.
I mean,
They watch it.
They watch it and listen to the recording rather than attend in person.
They used to come. though.
Yeah, yeah,
I was
correct.
first to the board meetings.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your feedback.
Did I miss any of the other reflection questions?
No, I-
was just kind of trying to.
I think as you summarize it, one of the pieces there, Dr. D, is that, you know, about impact. You know, of what we discussed today, what has the biggest impact on you guys going forward, so that when you're doing your self-evaluation in a year, that you've improved in some of the categories where it was less. It's kind of a little bit of what we have left here, really, and I guess it kind of ties a bow around it now as we go.
Yeah, what are the high impact, what's the low hanging fruit? The things that are easy to do, immediate, I mean, see some impact. And then what's sustainable, so that by next spring, you can think back and say, you know, we did do more this year, or we did it. I'm happy to kind of keep those records, if it's not something you can think of right now, shoot me a text, send me an email. Or when I send back out kind of that reflection and summary of this conversation, feel free to kind of reply all, and I will, create some kind of monitoring document, even something we could talk about in each board meeting, just to keep it fresh and part of our.
A living, triggered in my brain as we were talking. Cause I haven't seen it in a while. Do we still do the best of the nest?
We went from the best of the nest, and Kristen started doing kind of like a day in the life. A day in the life. We wanted to be more strategic in terms of like this showing images and explanations of instruction versus just this person was nominated for being a great person. So, but she'll keep doing that, and then, yeah, so it was more instruction related, I think, to get back to that piece now. That instructional program, right, that people know what's happening instructionally in our classrooms. Okay. All right, let's do another maybe 3-minute break, and then we'll have Gigi present. You can either stay in the center or we can move back to the big chairs. You like the center?
you know, it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something to just seem like not like it's
They said they will.
Yeah.
They said that too. Because we were to get back. So that night, I'm running away, but she's still working.
I've been
like, yeah.
I'm not even run over there,
Yeah.
but I figured you said stuff.
I don't know how, but now I feel like I don't.
I have to take your.
This is like in the Bible,
The scales fell from his eyes.
and then I was like, that's my.
That's the. No, I think my bar vision is not terrible, but I can actually sit and read now without anything.
Now, I can, if I do this, Wait, no, that's with my glasses off, with no contact, I have to be doing. But if I have my glasses on, like right here. Perfect, how far away can my arm go? Perfect right there, but. Yeah, I was better than these things.
Okay, very good. I'm good.
I want this fly to get somewhere.
Yes, he's been an active participant.
Ah, he's been right in the meeting. Why is there fried pineapple in the nut? I saw that too, I thought that was different.
It just seems like a weird combo, I don't know why. Like cranberries, raisins, a salty sweet combination. What?
That's what I was saying, something, picture one on the seventh one, and it will. Okay, social media, post, picture of me, I'm saying. You start posting, flash, okay, people's phone. Oh, how trouble. Hey, watch it, I'm not saying, it's right, careful. Yeah.
That's when my head doesn't want that in the bathroom. I ain't seen a man come out of that bathroom down there yet.
Hey, when I walked down, they said, oh, women can use that one too. They're universal back.
Yeah, she come back out and said, oh, we can use them too. I said, well, I'm kind of confused. I've been going in there all the time and I think I'm in the wrong bathroom, because I ain't seen a man come out of that today. Everybody been in there, women. I should have went to the woman's bathroom just for play.
I was somewhere and we went into, I was in Towson, in Towson Town Center. And we went into the, like, three of us went into the women's bathroom. And there was a man standing there washing his hands. He said, y'all kept in the wrong bathroom.
Oh my God.
No, you're in the wrong bathroom.
Oh.
Oh my God, there's no urinals in here. I'm in the wrong bathroom. And he just ran out there. You're in there.
Oh.
Or, what time is this? What time is lunch? Well,
It's supposed to be,
Okay,
we'll be pretty close.
Yeah, well,
We're on time.
Is it
Well,
that
we're a little behind,
Being in the military season,
but we're about a half hour behind, you know.
I won't be.
But you're not.
Excuse me, you're one
fly. I know, we're gonna. Yeah. It's no life for.
Well,
Comfy chair.
you didn't put it down on Zoom from your office.
Thought of my dad.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I will.
Did you see if lunch had been delivered yet? Did you notice?
Yes, they were working on it.
Well, then, from 227 died. Oh. He was all safe for himself.
I think it's all set up now.
It's covered though, right? I'm thinking about.
Oh, I did not keep in for that. I think.
Just that's like that.
Yeah. The Sam, what is it?
The sandwich meats?
No, they're not. It's, but everything that is out is covered.
40. You got work done on the grant if you wanted to?
Last night and this morning,
Yeah. Get this.
last night.
My sister's following very smart, they put out a message.
Did you,
Because
see
they
anything?
have been notified that your letters.
One of our,
affected.
officers, we had a meeting, Tuesday night, said that he
That's
sends,
serious.
could we look for a patron? We look for a teacher of the year for all from one of those schools. And on it, we send it to all the, schools, we send it to the counselors and whatever. We haven't got a response back last week. What happened, I read it behind, that's a. Business. Maybe a nominee. Teacher.
Let's talk about it after. I was like,
Yeah, so you guys see, so you know, I want to be tired of that sounds
Yeah,
important, so.
all right, let's shift gears again and sit and learn. This is Gigi Hastings.
Hello, for our guests, I'm Gigi Hastings, I'm one of our guests, but our other guest, I'm Gigi Hastings, I'm Director of Special Programs for the Weaver School District. And I'm talking this morning about the expansion of our autism program. So currently, our autism program is housed, pre-K at our little J's, where it will continue to be housed. Then for kindergarten to second grade at Blaze Elementary, third to fifth grade at Fred Douglass, and then our middle school and high school. We, for the 26-27 school year, are proud to announce that we will be able to offer our autism program in all of our elementary schools.
Right.
Awesome. So, we are doing a staggered approach. Ms. Hopkins spoke earlier about with autism, sometimes there is, a higher level within those students of anxiety and change. So we are taking the staggered approach of if a student is moving into a grade that moves to a new building, they will be attending their home school. Where if a parent has a child, they're currently at Plates, for instance, and the child is going into first or second grade, and they reside in the West Zone, they do have that option of choicing their child to West if they would like, or I guess they're not really choicing their child to their home school, but they have the option of going to their home school, but we are doing the staggered approach of if a child is moving into a new building, they're going to their home school. And then we do realize that it's gonna take a few years for the numbers to even out. But it also, taking the staggered approach is what's best for our students and our families, but we do understand that we have families where siblings have been separated because of how we organize our autism program. So we have had a few families opt that their child's in first or second grade or fourth grade to go to their home school because of siblings and schedules. So by expanding our autism program into each of our 4 elementary schools, the Seaford School District is increasing these specialized services while creating more meaningful opportunities for students with autism to learn, grow, and belong with their neighborhood schools. This initiative reflects our commitment to individualized supports, inclusive practices, and ensuring every student has the opportunity to succeed in the least restrictive environment. So going on to why this decision was made, this is providing our students served within an autism program the opportunity to attend their home school. We're increasing access to learning alongside typical peers and general education settings through intentional individualized inclusion opportunities. And with the numbers growing the way that they are, having them just in having our autism program just in Blaze and Fred, those opportunities were becoming smaller and smaller. and not ideally at the ratios that we would like to see when we are making decisions based off of opportunities for our students that are served within the B or C setting of the autism program to be in the general education setting. It supports the principles of IDEA, which is the Individualized with Disabilities Education Act, by educating students in the least restrictive environment to the maximum extent appropriate. And it reduces the needs for students to attend a school outside of their home attendance solely to access specialized programming. So we had students that weren't going to school with other kids from their neighborhoods. So they're going to school with kids across town, which hopefully this will create it will create an equitable access to students making friends with their neighborhood kids in school and out of school. No, I did that. Oh, thank you. It also strengthens relationships between students, families, and their neighborhood school community. And I already spoke about the friendships with peers who live within their own neighborhoods, streets, locations. And it promotes continuity for families by allowing siblings, like I spoke earlier, to attend the same school. We have, when I was looking at the numbers this spring, we have 9 families that have children spread throughout the district because of specialized programs. So this opportunity just makes it easier for our families. And it ensures equitable access to specialized autism programming across all elementary schools in the district. One thing when I've been speaking with families and even the folks out in the community is that autism is not new to West Seaford and Central Elementary. West Seaford and Central Elementary have been providing services for students with autism forever. The only difference is we're going to be providing opportunities at West and Central for B and C setting. When a student with autism needed a more restrictive setting than the general education setting, if you would have B or C setting, we would have to, and our only choice was to provide that at Blaze and Fred Douglas before. We're also building staff capacity. So instead of our per se autism experts being at how we see it, although that's not the truth, being at Blaze and Fred, we are going to, and I'm going to get into that later when I get into supports, but we're going to be building capacity for our district to have become the experts with autism all throughout the district, no matter what school you're within. And we're creating consistent programming and high expectations for our students, regardless of the elementary school that they attend. So, how we are going to be providing support to our new buildings is one support if we are contracting with Pyramid Consulting for West Seaford and Central Elementary. So Pyramid came highly recommended to us from the consortium. That's who Cape and Logan and the consortium worked with to expand their autism program into all of their elementary schools. They're going to be providing, we will have 2 contractors, one working with West Seaford, one with Central. At the beginning of the year, they are coming in and making sure are helping to set up physically the classrooms and the sensory rooms within West and Central, providing PD not only to our autism program of teacher and para, but also to the building. So to all of the staff, because all of the staff will be working with our students in a same room. So that is very important. We are very excited to be teaming up with them. We are very fortunate that they still have dates available and that they can start with us on the very first day that teachers are back with us in August.
Where are they out of?
They are actually out of Christiana. They are, I kind of laughed because I saw the address. And I think that might just be their Delaware office. They're out of everywhere, but they're, if anyone's familiar with where Blue Pearl is in Christiana, the vet Marcus is familiar. They are right next to Blue Pearl, Christiana, their offices. One of the contractors is that will be working with our district is from Lewis.
And the other one will be coming to us from Dover. So we are fortunate where we have two of our contractors that are local. At the beginning of the year, they will both be with us every day during the initial PD days, and then the first student week, they will be with us, and then they will be with us 2 full days a month through December, but at any time I can add days, or if we need less support, we can. I am hoping for opportunity too, just to build more capacity, to have PD available to both police and Fred through Pyramid as well.
I have another question, maybe it's maybe not the right time, but it's a financial question in regards to how we pay our contractors is that dealing with units as well, or is it directly out of
So that's
your budget?
It's out of the IDA grant, that I'm currently working on and trying to submit for. But yes, that comes out, the fee that we are paying comes out of our IDA grant.
Most of our contract services are come out of either title, opportunity, or IDEA. Or tuition might.
No, not anymore.
Or, and the other thing we could possibly do, you
We
can
could
have
use local.
related service units if you need to, but we maximize our related service with staff.
Usually the grants are kind of where we have to pay cash bills, and that would be contracted services.
And Pyramid's actually, the IDA grant is paying for part of it, and the opportunity grant is paying for part of it. So within the opportunity grant, there is a budget line for autism and a budget line for our OH comprehensive program. And we are using the budget line from autism to help pay, and then the rest is being paid out by IDA.
Thank you.
Then another support, which we're actually in year 4, I've spoken with you all before about Speaks. And what I say? Oh, okay, sorry. So Speaks is the systematic process for enhancing and assessing communication supports. We are in year 4. This has been amazing to work with Speaks. We are now to the point where we have experts on AAC devices within our district that are outside of usually when someone speaks about an AAC device, which is an augmentative and alternative communication device. So it's not necessarily an iPad, it could be text, it could be any form that a student uses for communication. We think of our speech therapists as the experts, right? Like when a student is issued a device or a communication format of any type, a lot of times a team or the teacher will be like, okay, speech path is going to tell me what to do. Well, Speaks has allowed us to build capacity beyond our speech pathologists, which we're really excited about. We've been able, as you all know, to build a school or 2 buildings each year to work with Speaks. And what we're doing is making sure that all of our staff in a building, whether they're gen ed, a related service, or specials teacher, art teacher, any staff, even working within our cafeteria, but that they have knowledge of how AAC devices are used and how to communicate with our students. So this has been very exciting. We've been able to see the growth of our students having access and to more general education opportunities, but also being able to participate and communicate within those opportunities. So this next year, we will be focusing on the supports we'll receive from ED. We'll be focusing on building up our 4 teacher leaders that have kind of taken the rein on this, and they're going to be working with the schools that already have been working with Speaks, but also we are going to be including Fred this year and West and Central. So all of our schools, except for the high school, which the high school will be the next year, but by next year, all of our schools will be speech trained.
Okay.
So this is exciting. Because I never thought we would be in this place 4 years ago.
Back up for the couple slides, when they're doing the improvements to the other schools to help with autism kids, are you gonna pick a certain classroom, like just one classroom, and that's what they're gonna, or are you gonna do several different ones?
With doing the the staggered approach.
Right.
Currently Blaze has 3 autism classrooms.
Okay.
So, West and Central with doing the staggered approach, each needed 1 classroom. West had, a classroom available they could turn into their BC autism room. And at Central Elementary, we actually moved our OHSCP, pre-K that was
Okay.
housed over at Central is now with all the other pre-K rooms. It's very nice. They're gonna be over at the high school. So all of our pre-K classrooms are now housed at the high school, and that room is becoming the autism
Okay.
classroom for 3 to 5.
We don't change classes in the, one time I heard even at middle schools that change classes.
Well, so our students in the so our students that are in our autism program do push out of the classroom at some point. Each student's schedule looks different, but
Right.
they do push out to be involved in general education at some point throughout the day.
Okay.
But for each student, it looks different. You might have a student that honestly spends the majority of the day with paraeducator support or teacher support in the gen ed setting, and then they come back to the autism classroom for social skills. You might have a student who's 50-50 with support from the autism program that's pushing back and forth. But we do not, our most restrictive setting is a C setting. So with that means at some point in the time of the day, 20% of their day is in the gen ed setting. We don't have a D setting separate school.
Sorry.
No, that's
right.
Now, but you did jog my memory for a good point of a funny little construction piece that we were like, oh yeah, we need to fix this. The SCP pre-K room, which it has been fixed, the bathroom for the SCP pre-K room had the little toilet, which needed to be fitted for bigger kids to use. So that has been taken care of, but that was the only construction piece that had to be taken care of that new. But we went in there the first day and I was like, oh yeah. We need to get dug on that one, and Doug got on that one very fast.
Gigi, do you think the ACC one?
Mm-hmm. Speaks, yes.
So I just wanted, if you guys aren't familiar with pet cards or what these devices look like, I'm gonna give you a quick little demo before Gigi goes to the next slide. Everyone in here knows about my son Jeremiah. Being on the autism spectrum, and I don't say nonverbal anymore because he does have vocal cords. I say non-speaking. He does use the device. He actually uses the LAMP program that Seifert started him on, and it's really cool because we can change the voice in it. So like when I do, like with him, he says he needs something, and it sounds like this. And he'll say, I want So they'll say, yeah. So it looks like this, and this is, for where you can actually put on any, Apple, product, iPads. And then last year, the year before, they opened it up to be on iPhone. So what I did is, once I bought it, I could download it on all the different ones. So if his device dies while we're out, my phone still has it. So I have LAMP on maybe 4 devices, 4 or 5 devices. So that he always has one he can switch out into. Yeah, so when he says, when you hear him on there talking about, I want 7-Eleven, please. Yeah, I got the 7-Eleven pictures and she.
So you can also.
Modify.
Thanks for sharing that.
And that's where the modifications come in with our speech therapists. They will add, because they will be working on verbiage or words, and they can add more vocabulary as our students grow. But it has been so exciting to walk into a science classroom at the middle school and see the AAC device not just sitting there, but actually being utilized, not just between and our student that utilize that as their communication device, but between student to student, peer-to-peer interaction using their communication device is the most amazing to see. And that is what Speaks has done. I mean, we are very thankful for Speaks. And this words, but
Yeah, that's awesome.
we,
That made my PTSD chicken and crawling.
Good.
I know, it is really, you know, I'm not familiar with Speaks, but one thing I will tell you is when you're doing these, make sure it's password protected, and make sure they don't see the password. Because he will memorize it. One day, everything was in Spanish, and I was like, and then all the people I had put in there, his mom, I mean, not his mom, my mom, his brothers, everybody's names, all their pictures, and it takes a long time to put those in, and they were all removed. I realized he knew the password, and he was deleting everything, so when I got it back in there, change the password, and he cannot see it. Yeah,
Wow.
but yeah, so that's how, there are different devices, but lamp has worked very well.
Thanks for sharing.
thank you. It's cool for them to be able to see it. We are also, I just met with Fun and Function. They had a grant opportunity that they reached out to us about. They'd heard about our expansion of our autism program, and we are applying for a grant to update the sensory rooms at Blaze and Fred and create sensory rooms at West and Central. So back to like budget lines, that was something that we thought we were going to be budgeting for, and it looks like, we're still looking in the budget to never know if it'll be approved or not, but it might be something that we can utilize that money to spend on something else. So we are excited about that. Classroom setups, we were talking about construction, although this isn't like construction of rooms, but we are mirroring everything that is in the Blades autism classrooms has been ordered for West. So we're not gonna have like, well, at Blades or at West, they have this and the other side doesn't. They will be, both of our K-2 autism rooms will all match no matter what building you're at, same with our 3 to 5. So we, Ms. Maheda and I went around in the spring and took pictures and inventory and made sure that everything was ordered exactly the same. So we are equitable in our classroom. So awesome. Yes. And of course, the district level support, so myself and Sarah Smith, will continue to work with all of our buildings with the expansion of the autism program, and all of our students that receive special education services.
District level, board level too.
Yeah. Yes.
One thing, like the three of us would probably add to this, obviously, we feel this is the right thing to do for kids, you know, and everything, but if you think back to last decade, when Dr. D, when you first got here and we had the reconfiguration, and we looked at the SCP program and the autism, those numbers were relatively the same. And so it made sense to have for lack of a better term, the magnet schools for these programs to really be able to support and help the students to the best ability. Where the SCP has grown, it hasn't grown like this has. I mean, I think Dr. D, when we looked at it, was like it's
So
like
in 7 years, the number of students with autism had doubled. And at this point, we're at 11 years, it's almost tripled. So it's accelerating, where SCP, the numbers have stayed pretty consistent over the past 10, 12 years. It goes up and down, but it's about the same as it's ever been.
Well, I think the fact that we have 3 classrooms for K-2 building, at our Little J's, we had to add a second classroom this school year specific for autism programming. Just to give you an idea, over the summer, we have 33 students in the queue from the 3 that are currently receiving autism services through the community. So the numbers are not changing, and we need to do what's best for kids. And like I explained, we do, our autism program is a C study, so we must, and it's what's best for the child to provide those opportunities to be with their typical peers. And if we left our programs at just the one building at Blades, those opportunities were getting smaller and smaller.
The ratios are just off.
Yes. And
Now,
that was,
talk about for a minute though, the difference between Blades and West. It's a little anomaly here in Seaford School District.
so even we, Dr. D and I've been, and Mr. Pierre, we've been organizing numbers since March, like which to see how they fell, right? And so, even with, in saying 3 years, when every student is just going to like whatever school they need, if they need special, any type of autism programming, Blades will still have a higher population of students with autism than the West Zone. It kind of, it's maybe off, now granted, this, I don't know, I can't see into the future of students that are gonna move into our district. But with our numbers now that we're currently serving of 2-year-olds and up, when you plot out what zone they live in, Blades has a higher population, and it seems to be, even when you dig a little deeper, like, okay, so within the Blades zone, is there a higher population? There is a higher population within the town limits of Blades for the autism rate.
Is there any science behind that reason?
They were doing research on, well, part of, I think part of it, because of the good work. People here and people come here for that. And Blades is an easier place to rent.
Understanding housing.
So it's easier for them to find a place to rent in Blades, knowing that their kids going to, and it's gonna get worse. Not worse, but I mean, not worse, but there's gonna be more, the more we. That's the curse of doing a great job.
And it might even out, now that you've said that, Dara, it might even out now that autism, B and C setting available at West. Depending on the housing situation, it provides more flexibility, but what's interesting is that even. Up to this point, somebody could have lived in the West Zone and still gone and accessed the program in Blades, but, so yeah, I think it's more about, access to, property, being able to, move in.
It's like almost like exponential increases are happening in other places too.
So the conversation, well, I'll let you talk with the conversation.
I mean,
directors.
now, speaking with my other colleagues that are direct, we do have a very high population. In fact, on our indicator reports, we have one of the highest populations of Hispanic students with autism. Yes, so we always get a like flag for that population when our indicator report comes, but we upload our evaluation summary reports and show that we are completing the evaluation process appropriately and identifying correctly, and that's because the students we serve, and but we are seeing growth across the state. I mean,
Other superintendents have also talked about the increases in number of students with autism and how they're meeting the needs of those kids.
Before we move on, we had, our guests in the back, they were writing some things down. Did you guys have any, ladies? Did you have any suggestions or questions based on the presentation? I saw you writing.
What are we supposed to do for kids that are like really high functioning that don't need, I guess, C and D or whatever, single classrooms?
so if your student is there, we currently educate students with this disability classification of autism that have an IEP, that's how they qualify. They don't need the services of an autism program. So they would be in the, each student's differently. I have to like speak specifically to a student, but we program and provide services based on the individualized need. So not every student with the classification of autism necessarily needs the autism program. It's based on what they need. And if you guys want me to look at anything and talk about specifics, I'm happy, but. Yeah. But I'm happy, if you guys want my card too, you can anything, I can give it to you as well.
We'll take your card.
Okay, alright.
It's kind of like our card, if your child doesn't need physical therapy, but they need occupational therapy, they don't get physical therapy, they'll get occupational therapy. So it truly is built on what that particular student needs, not off the classification.
If the student's gonna be in the least restricted environment, which means like with wherever their capacity is, like whatever's the least restricted, so if they said they might just have a regular school day, you know, they could be in a more English class with half a day, like she was saying earlier, it just all depends on the kid. But whatever's the least restrictive for that student is where they'll be placed.
We built our programming for each individualized student based on that individualized student. We just make sure we have access, that we can serve everybody. Like a buffet. I like our buffet, yes. Thank you. I'll do that on my part.
Alright, so we have kind of one chunk of retreat left and then executive session with personnel items. We also have lunch.
I'm good.
I think my part, or not my part, but the last part of the retreat is about a half an hour. And then we could do executive and maybe get into lunch by like 1 o'clock. Does that sound good for you? Okay. Is that all? Yeah, I had that Starbucks drink. I'm ready.
Oh, then I have, good one.
Okay. All right, well, if you look in your folder, you'll see the state strategic plan across your wall. This is another one of those exercises, where I sat looking at the two documents. I was looking at alignment and yes, checking off, and I was like, you know what? See what they have. So I took the state strategic plan, I took our goals and priority, and I put it up in the ChatGPT and I said, please, create a crosswalk with these two documents. Well, after a little tweaking, because I wasn't super happy, because of course you then have to use your critical thinking skills to analyze the outcome, right? But it ended up with this document, the one that's landscape, with the shaded areas. So the good news is, as I suspected, we have about an 80 to 85% alignment with the state strategic plan. I think the one place where AI, you know, it's not thinking. The first one, so the phrase again is building block one, expand early education and kindergarten readiness. That's not something the school district can do, right? Our preschool programs for students with disabilities, we have no role in private childcare kind of arrangements. So it looks like we don't have a priority aligned to that, but it wouldn't be our place. So I think if I went back and removed that building block from the state strategic plan and ran it back through AI, I think we'd actually be closer to 90 or 95% alignment.
Okay.
So again, you can see we're right there. All the things that we're doing in our goals and priorities are directly aligned. If you look at student well-being, the state focus has reduced chronic absenteeism. We don't have it specifically addressed, but we have like the highest rates of student attendance in the state. So we didn't include that because we're already like basing that one, right? We have like, yes.
Oh, now, just so I can brag, you know, what I'm not.
95%, we're 90, and we're above 90% in our secondary schools, which is unheard of. There are high schools. Okay. Well. High schools.
But it's like any of y'all.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna downplay other people's success. Congratulations, yes, they're fabulous. No, but there are high schools that are below 70%. Like, for sure, yeah.
When we were working with Moores on our wellness center stuff, some of the information they needed was attendance rate. And when we presented the attendance rate at the elementary one, admittedly, like, there's an error, like they literally told us to the error, like, no, that's what it is. And we're like, that's impossible. And we're like, no, this, they just couldn't, because they did all our state, they could not fathom that our numbers. they were.
And we were making that big push a couple of years ago
Yeah.
too.
Right, and
Yes.
they're still on it, like the principals absolutely,
And also,
yeah.
when we expanded, Mr. Zoll, we expanded, and I'm not saying this because it's my wife, but we brought Philippe and Ev in, and also. The help with Mr. Whitaker's, now we have a new person, next to Mr. Whitaker's retiring. But expanding that MV group in there with Ms. Briggs, having 4 people tackle it and having somebody who talks to them in Spanish, have somebody who talks to them in Creole.
Right.
Has helped that too, when you,
Yes.
and you're like, hey,
Like, we're not looking at so much as like, hey, you're absent, shame on you, it's, hey, you've been absent, what's going on, how can we help, what's, is it transportation, is it, medical access? I think having the wellness center for the elementary schools is, a huge piece of that absolutely, so. So I think that one out, because again, if we remove that one. Thank you.
First one, yeah.
Early literacy, again. So building block 4, the state strategic plan includes AI proficiency. So there's an opportunity to improve alignment there. Without bringing in our policy. And we were doing that before, I even run this crosswalk, so I feel like a little pat on the back that like we're very anticipated. Middle school and after school supports, we do that.
That's what I said, we do.
Yeah, we
One
do
book,
that.
one friend and all that.
It's
stuff.
just not in our goals and priorities, but yes, we do it, so I could actually, rerun an analysis based on not just goals and priorities, but other activities and programs. And it might change it, but I think that's, again, that piece we were talking about before, being able to look at something that has been AI generated and think for yourself about whether, does this make sense? Is this relevant? Is this accurate?
Correct.
So that's,
It's also really good to review, it's like inventory what we're doing.
Yeah.
Essentially,
and I think this is, I think our Secretary of Education is particularly anxious that school district strategic plans or goals and priorities, everybody does it a little bit different. That they do reflect the state strategic plan. And ours does, so that's an easy thing to answer. And now I keep thinking of all these things that might go into this binder of
Right.
facts and info, something like this, yeah, we're doing
Yep.
what it is that we're supposed to do. So then there's the sheet here of the goals and priorities draft for 26-27. Last year, we added the communicate clearly and frequently with stakeholders. I have so enjoyed meeting with Kristen Brunt each week. So what we usually do is we have our directors meetings on Tuesday morning. And if something comes up through directors that needs a push out of communication, then in my afternoon meeting with Kristen, I will ask her, hey, I need you to go follow up with Cam about whatever, or Chrissy, or a principal, or there's a program, or maybe something's come up in a board meeting. And then she incorporates it into her schedule of information. I feel like this goal has made me much more focused, or maybe just cognizant of the fact of how those pieces fit together, and what my responsibility is in those conversations with Kristen about getting information out. That's where the idea was generated for the newspaper, right? Put together that piece, the conversations we had, that conversation with the gentleman at Kiwanis, and then brainstorming with Kristen about what that could look like. And then even, Karen's got the inaugural issue of the Seabird Pride in her office. I'm like, okay, how can we put all of those pieces together? So the patches did change under modernizing the funding model, continue to utilize an operating expense funding model. That was new last year. That whole funds model, which never included grant monies before, So now you as a board are seeing that as that whole, right? And that was a lot of money, that was just kind of off to the side there, that's now incorporated, that you see that's part of that district budget. You know, the provide accessible, equitable, and inclusive educational opportunities. That was the genesis for our conversation about the autism program. I love these goals and priorities. I think that they remain strong, but I am opening it up to all of you for feedback or recommendations. I don't want to necessarily have more than the 5 priorities with the goals. But if you have, and of course, we're gonna do all the things, whether they're on this paper or not. But it does help us stay focused and reference back to these things when we're talking about a new program or curriculum or some sort of effort. Does it align with our goals and priorities? And I think even the conversation today with the gallery walk, I mean, that comes right into strengthen and diversify communication platforms. The other, under each goal, I could break out like specifically what we're doing for our own purposes, not necessarily to put up on the wall, but
Yeah, I think this
This is good.
it goes back to what you was talking about with the strategic plan, whatever, we know that we're doing certain things. Or, even when we spoke in person, right, and they were talking about, the state just implemented having a, student on their board. Right, Board of Education. And we said, well, we don't have students on our Board of Education, however, we do have the weekly, monthly meetings with, the building administrators from middle school, high school, and superintendent. And the feedback that we get from them is being implemented within the schools. So, similar.
so then I guess the third piece of this is, we've talked about superintendent evaluation, kind of how that falls in the calendar year. So I actually created a new document that aligns then superintendent evaluation, and I'm not saying me because I'm not saying that you've got to use this. It's just a new tool that takes the goals and priorities and dumps them into an evaluation tool and keeps it pretty consistent with what you already do as a group, that it's kind of a satisfactory or unsatisfactory. It's nothing too complicated. It keeps it, I think one of the strengths and one of the charms of working in Seaford is the informality, the trust. I feel like every month during a board meeting, I'm evaluated, right? You're telling me, hey, good job on this, take a look at this, can you please look into, we're doing a constant cycle of feedback. And I don't want to disturb that process because it works and it works for us. But maybe this form preserves some of those conversations in a static format. That could then,
Yeah, and honestly, from a leadership standpoint, anything on your evaluation should never be a surprise. So-
Right.
And one thing that we learned when we did some of the pipeline work that we did, the nice thing about that was, remember Dr. Sandsworth came down, he was somebody that we were doing that work with the state, he was assigned to us. One of the first tasks was we gave him a lot of information and he put it down on paper, or in electronic, whatever you have, because we never memorialized some of that stuff. And
it was just what we did.
yeah, we sat down, like, we're sitting in this room the one day, all us directors with him and everything, and I remember like, it's like, man, we do a lot, like, we just don't, because it's just what we come to work and what we do. And so we started putting that all down together. So this is, that term always came up in that pipeline work, because you gotta memorialize stuff. So a little bit of that process that is done for this is kind of memorialized, so there's something to go back to.
And rather than wrote down continuity of operations.
Yep.
Literally wrote that down as something to bring up, then like you just,
It is.
you really just sit on it.
And then, so then each year, if goals and priorities change, then they can be reflected differently on that
It
form.
makes it cleaner, it takes the objectivity out of it. This,
Mhm.
it's a rubric,
It is,
yeah, it's a rubric.
so it includes, a place for the board president and the superintendent. I think you would just have to figure out, like, what would that timeline look like? What is the process for feedback, agreeing on the narrative piece? Is it aligned with, contracts in December? Is it aligned with when we traditionally, do step increases, which is in June? So that's up to you. You guys get to decide.
And it's not so far removed from these standards and all that stuff, that it would be like.
No.
It's the same
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, and the code, the code is really nebulous. It says that, the board hires a superintendent who is assigned as the secretary. The code says that there's a process of evaluation for school administrators. It doesn't specifically need the superintendent. There has been some discussion at the state level about whether, DOE will assist in that process. I want to make sure that we are ahead of that, and that you as a board aren't caught unawares, and that, there's a document we can point to. And
Yeah, and they have no reason to need to introduce, because based on what I understand, we are the best board. If you know where I stand.
that's the word. But we can continue the conversation. Alright, well, then. We can go back to the table, we can go to executive, and then we'll have a show. Okay.
We have some public stuff first, then.
Oh, we have the public stuff,
Yeah.
right, do you need to go, do you need to be on your laptops to do the public stuff? That's
No, and I can, Kim, assist me. Did y'all have any questions in this segment? Okay.
No. All right, back to business meeting. All right.
Oh, wait, right, 7, yeah.
I know, but,
Roller paper copy.
oh, that's the one, switch time, I got it. Yeah, no, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, well, like you just.
Sure, but you, yeah, you can back there. Yeah. What you gonna say?
Oh, sorry.
6.2, superintendent's communication.
I will say that I've already talked for 3 hours and I'm finished. Great.
Do we have any core communications, anyone want to share?
I don't, I just, will Mr. Tall from, DSBA tell us the dates of legislation?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
I was thinking about that one out.
Once everybody has in their nominees or whatever, their representatives, they'll send out those dates.
Okay, awesome.
You're probably having it, definitely, but.
All right, I mean,
Get ready for the.
I get what you're saying, definitely.
they're coming.
Give something then. All right, so, the next item on the agenda is 7.1, transportation, contracts. Mr. Kim, do we need to go over anything on this?
I don't believe you need to, it's just, this is part of what's in code when we have, a transfer or contract we have to follow.
Is there overtime?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that.
No,
Okay.
downsizing,
Okay.
right, I guess would be the way to put it.
So he's still driving, is he still driving personally for us?
I believe,
He's my neighbor,
yeah, I think he's just like, he's in the same boat that we are at times. Finding drivers is difficult,
Okay.
and so I think he's worked with Garrett, Mr.
Yeah.
Johnson here,
Yeah.
and they've kind of done this thing.
Garrett Johnson, I know he had contracts in, Woodbridge.
So,
Yeah,
you want my soul?
and And Mr. Hayes, yeah, and Mr. Hayes had contracts with Woodbridge as well.
Yeah, okay.
That's right, originally met him.
Got it. All right, this here is an action item, and I'll need a motion. On this action.
Mark. Yeah. Mark, shall I move to approve the transfer of transportation contract as presented?
You have a motion in a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The action passes. 7.2, termination of transportation contract. That's aligned with.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna talk about that. All right, that is an action item. I'll need a motion.
Make a motion to approve. Or, and then we approving this one, this one.
We're approving.
Approving, 7.2, transportation contract.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? The action carries. All right, school choice. Did we nominate who's gonna be doing school choice since took my job?
Okay.
Right?
All right, I hope everyone has had an opportunity to look at our recommended items.
Mark, shall I move to approve the school choice applications 2027-49 through 2027-51, and to deny school choice application 2027-52 as presented?
Second. We have a motion in a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That actually carries. All right, so long range agenda, man, we got a long. All right, the next board meeting, Board of Education meeting is August 17th, 6 p.m. here in district office. Hopefully we'll see everyone here. Again, as we're preparing for the kickoff of the school year.
That's actually the first day teachers are back.
I'll be having that.
Before we need to speak that day.
That's not that day, but the week before and then that Thursday.
Right.
I'll send you those dates.
All right.
I'll be out that day. I'll be in Texas. I'll see my grandson graduate.
Congratulations.
Latin.
Yep.
Okay, good stuff. All right, so our next action item is executive session. I'll need a motion to enter into executive session.
Thank you.
First session, our personnel matter, legal basically matter.
Second. We have a motion in a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That motion carries, and it is 12:10 as we enter into executive session. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for coming.